and it creates a situation that's very uncertain and very challenging for patients and providers.
Now, study authors say the goal of the study was to track abortions on a month-to-month basis. The Ohio Department of Health tracks them on an annual basis and says it is required by Ohio law to post the report by October 1st each year. Now, 6 states and Washington, D.C. will each get a piece of the recent $462 million settlement with Juul. The deal imposes strict limits on Juul's sales and marketing abilities. That includes barring the company from using people under 35 years old in its ads. To date, the company has paid out more than $1 billion to settle lawsuits with 45 states. Last year, Ohio received part of a $438 million settlement in a similar lawsuit.
Juul's marketing to youth, unfortunately, was very successful. One 2018 study specific to Juul users found that 63% of 15 to 24-year-olds did not know that nicotine was present in Juul products.
According to West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey, 14.3% of West Virginia high schoolers used e-cigarettes at least once in the past 30 days, which is higher than the national average, which sits at 13.2%. Another step in the right direction for economic development in Weirton. The Access Road project for the Frontier Crossing development received $1.5 million in congressionally directed spending thanks to Senators Shelley Moore Capito and Joe Manchin. And with that money, Phase 1 of the road is completely funded. Phase 1 will also play a key part in Form Energy's planned iron air battery manufacturing facility that was recently announced. Frontier Group of Companies Business Development Director Patrick Ford says this is just the beginning.
What's most important about completing the assembly of the capital stack for this first phase of this industrial access road is that road will be the catalyst for what will amount to be $2 billion of private investment at Weirton Frontier Crossing and the creation of 3,000 jobs.
Now, Phase 1 is set to break ground in spring of 2024, and Ford says Form Energy is set to break ground on their roughly $700 million facility this summer. Families from Shadyside have concerns about the district's goal to build a new K-12 facility on the site of Leona Avenue Middle School. Shadyside Superintendent John Haswell held a Q&A meeting with representatives from SHP addressing some of these worries and providing updated information on the status of the project. They were able to lock in the 75% state share by putting Leona Middle School under contract for abatement and demolition. Haswell also says had they not done that, the school would only be eligible for 59% of that funding. He also assures that in their contract there is an addendum that they can delay the project a year or more to avoid tearing Leona Middle down this summer.
The way that we're doing it is to be able to lock that state share in. We're at the mercy of the OFCC as far as when funding comes through and some other things. I hope everybody will take all the information we have, get behind this in the process that we're going through, and come together in a community when it is time to take a look at what we're going to put together. I hope everybody's with us and gets behind us.
Many parents' concerns lie with the elementary students being moved to the high school once this demolition is completed. But with that, the addendum, Haswell says they have at least another year to discuss possible solutions. And check this out. The Fitzsimmons Family Dog Parks have officially opened for the season. City crews turned on the water at the park's watering stations yesterday. There are 3 dog parks in Wheeling now, the first and largest one at Tunnel Green, plus others now at Wheeling Park and in Warwood. They all feature separate areas for large and small dogs, plus water faucets, benches, pet waste bag dispensers, and a mix of both sun and shade for your dog.
I come out here and let my dog run for a couple hours every day. I think this park's amazing. The dog's got plenty of room to run and they get to socialize, so it takes the meanness out of them and stuff. I love it out here, and so does he.
We hope everybody comes out and enjoys bringing their pets out to play in the Fitzsimmons Family Dog Parks, and we want to thank the Fitzsimmons family for their generosity in providing the opportunity for people to bring their pets out and let them run and play, and for people to socialize and gather.
The Wheeling Park Dog Park is directly behind the White Palace. The Warwood Dog Park is behind the water plant. All 3 dog parks are open from dawn to dusk. Is this warm weather here to stay for the weekend? Well, Adam has those answers in his forecast right after the break. We'll be right back.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it.
Get out there this spring and find your adventure in a new Toyota. Like a sporty Camry, available with all-wheel drive, or a stylish Corolla, both with great MPGs. Or check out a new RAV4, Highlander, or Tacoma, all equipped with what you need to tackle any adventure. Visit buyatoyota.com, the official website for deals. Hurry, offers end May 2nd. Toyota, let's go places.
Why? Just think about it. Why is the #1 selling brand of chainsaws not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot? We can give you over 10,000 reasons. That's how many authorized local steel dealers you can find across the country. Visit one and you'll find a range of dependable gas and battery-powered tools, from trimmers to blowers. And you'll find service from experienced professionals. Real steel. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
The Highlands Sports Complex is the Ohio Valley's most exciting place to play. A state-of-the-art facility offering fun for the whole family with a climbing wall, arcade, indoor turf, hardwood courts, classes and camps for kids and adults. Plus, you can take a break in the on-site cafe. Learn more online at hitthehighlands.com, or better yet, stop in and visit the Highlands Sports Complex at the top of the hill off I-70.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Follow your dreams. Yeah. Wanna get a mansion, a jacuzzi, a theater to watch my movies, couple whips and lots of fancy things. The kids they call the Goonies. I see the future, crystal ball.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back into the Pine Room Podcast here on the Watchdog. We're excited to be here on this Thursday afternoon. It's hot outside, the sun is shining, and I don't think there's a cloud out in the sky, but myself, Coach, and Jared are here in the studio. Matt will be joining us here shortly, and of course, this is our second show of the week, so we do have some stuff for you to listen to. If you missed it this past week, you can go onto our YouTube or go to the Watchdog onto the podcast or archive section of the website and listen to everything we've done so far and the things that you maybe have missed out on since we've started here on the Watchdog. We got a lot of stuff that we've done and a lot of things that we want to catch up on and want to catch you up on. But we're happy to be here, and we got some more stuff for you today. Some happy, some fun stuff, some more intense stuff. But most importantly, if you're just tuning in for us for the first time, if you haven't heard from Tuesday, we are going to be talking to Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. He will be joining us here in the 2:30 hour, or the 2 o'clock hour. He's going to be talking to us around 2:05. So if you got things to do and you want to come back and check in, you can come and listen to that later in the show. Of course, I want to give a thank you to everyone that made this possible. I want to give a thank you to all the folks at the Watchdog team that are allowing us to do this every single week. Rocky, Kayleen, Howard, Bob, Lola, everyone else involved at the Watchdog team. Thank you very much for letting us be on the air and letting us do this every single week. Of course, you're listening to WKKX, WVLY, 98.1 or 97.7. That's AM 1600 to AM 1370. You can listen online at thewatchdognetwork.com or go and watch us live on YouTube at the Pine Room Podcast on YouTube. You can watch us live on the camera feed and watch us here, sitting here in the studio talking back and forth. So you can go check that out if you want to. Follow us on social media at the Pine Room Podcast. Send us an email at contact@thepineroompodcast.com. Email topics, questions, comments, anything that you have. And then visit our store, thepineroomshop.com. You can get some gear for the summertime when that's released later this month. But we're happy to be here. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff today. We got local news. We got world news. We got some security questions after President Biden's visit plan is found in the street. Who knows what that could reveal or leak. We got some terrible and disturbing discoveries here as a video showing a Russian soldier beheading a Ukrainian POW. It's pretty rough stuff, and some things we're going to talk about. The world's in a pretty rough state right now as far as that side of the globe, but we're going to cover that. On the brighter side, Michael Jordan's final sneakers sell for $2.2 million. If you're out there, maybe you spent a little change and got those yourself. Maybe we can sign some sneakers for you and send them your way. But the Phillies' Dollar Dog Night turns into a hot dog throwing fiasco, an absolute disaster. Dollar Dog Night, I guess that was an absolute mess, and these guys can comment on that soon. But speaking of MLB, the teams are extending alcohol sales, so that's definitely a positive for a lot of our beer drinkers around here. And then a South Korean pharmaceutical company announces a $100 million Morgantown investment. So a lot of different stuff to talk about, but most importantly, we will be talking to Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk. He will be joining us at the 2 o'clock hour, so tune in for that. But we're happy to be here. We're going to be heading south for some Two Lies and a Florida Guy a little later, and then talking about some time machine stuff, things in history, maybe going down talking about some film, TV later. We got a lot of stuff to cover, but we're happy to be here. Jared and Coach in the studio. How we doing?
Good. Beautiful out. Just was outside painting this morning and got off the ladder, headed down here, and really excited for Mike Florio. And for the people that don't know Mike Florio, a lot of people probably aren't real familiar with him. He's a huge writer, football writer. He also works for ESPN. And but the significance is he's from Wheeling. He's originally from Wheeling. He went to St. Mike's grade school, Wheeling Central High School. Has a lot of very good friends here in the Wheeling area, the Payne brothers, some other guys that are real good friends with the Payne brothers. They go down to Mike's house. I think he lives in Parkersburg, but I'm not sure on that. Anyway, we'll find out when he calls in. But he's and he also is, as Job said, he's got a new book that he wrote coming out, talking about the gambling and the mafia back in the Wheeling area back in the day when his dad was involved in it, which was really, really cool, fascinating to me, and really, really intriguing stuff. Paul Hankey Shera, Freddie Shia, Bill Lias, those kind of guys that sort of ran the Wheeling area with the gambling and I'm assuming prostitution and the beer and all that kind of stuff. But really fun stuff, and his book is really, I think, going to be really intriguing. So anxious to talk to him about not only the NFL and the upcoming draft, which is only a couple weeks away now. I think 2 weeks from today, isn't it, Jarrett?
That's a good question.
I think the NFL draft is 2 weeks from today, and at least first day. And so we'll get some insight on that because he is, as Matt's making his way over here. Matt said he believes, besides Peter King, Mike Florio's the best NFL analyst in the business. So
yeah, it is 2 weeks from today.
Yeah, anxious to hear from him. And then talk about his roots here in Wheeling and how he got started in the NFL and with ESPN. I know he's got a law degree and was doing some. I don't know. He was just an attorney, and I don't know how he'll explain it anyway. I won't even guess at it. But that's exciting. The weather is absolutely gorgeous. I announced a baseball game last night. Wheeling Park rolled over University, playing really well. They play Steubenville tonight. I think everybody's getting their games in now, man. There's nobody getting canceled now. You don't even need turf to be playing now, and usually that's really unusual. So some teams have, 15 games in already. I was looking at watching some of the college softball. Some of those teams have 40 games in already.
Yeah, it's amazing. Some of the Division I teams. Heck, they started back in what feels like forever ago, back in February, which is crazy. And then Division I baseball, heck, they've got almost 40 in, close to probably 35 right now. So cranking right now. It's a good, exciting time for sports, and I'm excited about this weather. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, you are a diehard for this weather. So I think it's going to last for a while. We got a little rain coming on the weekend. I've listened to Darnell and watched the weather guys, and little rain coming Saturday evening into Sunday, and then I think some Sunday evening, and then going to cool down a little bit. I think it's going to get a little more seasonal next week, back in the 50s on Monday and then the 60s for the weekend. But I think no more rain next week. So I think a lot of teams are going to get all their games in. I think OVAC cutoff dates are coming up for baseball and softball, amazingly. Wheeling Park's going to open up on their home turf, projected next Friday. Next Friday, that would be the 21st of April, next Friday against Brooks. So that's going to be exciting, and we are going to possibly be there with the Pine Room podcast and possibly do play-by-play on WKKX for that game. So we'll keep you posted on that. That'll be exciting to bring that in the airwaves. We're going to try to do some different things with the announcing too. We're going to try to really make it first class. So anyway, that's where we are. Waiting on Matt to come in. We got as Jubb said, we got a lot going on. Hopefully we'll hear from Dan from Slobovia and Roy C. Mercer. Hopefully Junebug's eyes are good. I know, speaking of eyes, Howard didn't make it to his show today. Howard and Bobby weren't on again. I know Howard. I listened yesterday, and he said he was planning on being back on the air today, but Lola said he woke up today and was having troubles again. So, Howard, our thoughts are with you, buddy. I feel for you. I've never had issues with my eyes other than starting to not see as well as I did before, need glasses, but I've never had any serious issues. So we're thinking of you, Howard. I hope you get back tomorrow. I know all the guys ask me every day how you're doing, and we're thinking of you. And so hopefully you'll be back and healthy and on the air tomorrow. So, yeah, so that's where we're at, Jarrett. We're cranking up baseball. It'd be cool if we got to do some play-by-play next week of the Park game. That'd be really cool, and get to see the beautiful turf field. You got to be jealous.
Yeah, I actually, Coach Nardoni sent us a video this morning. They were getting the sand in it. They had the machines on it, spreading the sand in there to get it packed down. So that's really cool. I don't know, maybe do some play-by-play. I've never done that before, so we'll see about that. But I'm a little jealous about the turf. I never got to have a home field that had turf. Only played away on turf. So.
Yeah, or had to go to Wild Things Field or Edison to play home games when our field at West Liberty was unplayable, or up here at Park. So congratulations to them and Rick Jones and Kim Miller. I sing their praises all the time, but it's well deserved, and they've done outstanding work. Dave Crum and everything they've done, and they're still doing things. So congrats to them, and hope everybody's enjoying this gorgeous weather, and we'll keep it going. And it looks like I'm going to be painting for a while now.
Yeah,
painting is really going strong, as opposed to years past where we didn't get started till probably maybe early to mid-May. We've already done a couple of jobs, so. I'm never prepared for this heat quite out of the gate yet.
Nah, that's okay. You'll get adjusted. Yeah, I wanted to bring up the Mountaineers baseball team. They skidded a little bit over the weekend against Kansas. They lost 2 out of 3 at home, surprisingly, because Kansas really isn't even that good. They lost 2 out of 3 and then went
Penn State.
Penn State. They got beat 11-6 at Penn State. Really tough loss. They had a play where a guy had a little dribbler up the first base line. Bases loaded, a little dribbler up the first base line, and they ended up scoring 4 on the play.
It's sort of the circus music.
Yeah, it's a Little League home run, and that's how they ended up
One
losing,
bad throw led to another one.
Yep.
Once it starts, it snowballs, and I was listening to Tony Caridi on WKKX. I believe they played they must play Tuesday. Yeah, they played Tuesday because I was listening to them, and they had a 5-0 lead, I believe. I think Mountaineers had a 5-0 lead.
Yeah, and then they just
things
fell
unraveled.
apart.
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
Yep.
Even the best teams get into that play where you should just hold the ball. The guy that has the ball after the first bad throw should just hold it because you know what's coming.
Yeah, and I believe now they're out of the top 25. They've dropped They've dropped out. Yeah, they were previously 25. I think the highest they were was 24, but they dropped out now. They're 23-10, I believe, right now. And then they go to Oklahoma State this weekend, which is going to be a really a tough game, a tough series for them. Then next week on Wednesday, play PNC Park against Pitt, so that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we're trying to
get up
work
there
something out to see that. That'd be really cool. So, yeah, the Mountaineers off to a great start, but like you said, have hit a little.
That's going to be a really tough series down there in Stillwater this weekend. Oklahoma State's very good. Then they play TCU at home the next week. Then go to Baylor, and then got Oklahoma at home. Then go to Texas Tech, which again another tough series, and then at Texas, which is going to be that'll be another tough one. So,
and the Pirates lost 7-0 to the Astros yesterday in a very lackluster performance. Only 3 hits. They did squeak one game out against the Astros, which surprised me. I thought they'd get swept, but. Now they go a really important series here to the Cardinals starting tonight. Four-game series starting tonight. I think the Cardinals' pitching's a little depleted. They got some guys on the DL, and their pitching has struggled. So I think the Pirates might have an opportunity to at least split that series.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Them getting one against the Astros. I'm very happy about that as a diehard Pirate fan. I'm happy they could scratch one, but going to St. Louis. St. Louis is struggling a little bit right now. Velasquez against Jordan Montgomery. The Cardinals right now actually are minus 255.
Well, I think Montgomery's 2-0, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's 2-0, and then the other 3 guys they face, I believe, are all 0-2. I think all 3 guys they face on Friday, Saturday, Sunday are all 0-2. So they may have shot at if they can get some pitching, that's the thing. Well, they got to score some runs. That's one of their issues too. They struggle scoring runs. So, anyway, that's where the Pirates are. A couple. Anybody surprising to you yet in the major leagues? Obviously, Tampa Bay now 12-0.
Yep, 12-0. Amazing. I believe they are off tonight. No, they play the Red Sox at 1.
Boston
they play the Red Sox at 1 o'clock today. I think they'll go 13-0.
And then I think they go to who do they go to after Boston? They
go to the Blue Jays. So that
go to Toronto. So
I'd imagine they'll probably get their first loss there. But you never know. They're hot right now. They're swinging. But heck, I tell you what. I mean, after the Blue Jays, then they go to the Reds, and then you go to the Reds. So that's 3 more probably potential wins, and then got the White Sox at home, and then play the Astros at home. So two series that are. Difficult. Well, the White Sox, I don't know how good the White Sox are.
Yeah, they're up and down. I mean, the Pirates beat them 2 out of 3, I believe. So, and then the record for the most wins at the beginning of the season, I think they're one more, and
13. It was the 87 Braves.
Yeah, 87
Braves.
Yeah. So I'm sure that the Rays have that on their mind now. They'd love to break that record. So I would say that'd be a good bet this afternoon to play them.
I would play the Rays
against the Red Sox. So I think that's a really good bet. So I think that the Rays are definitely wanting to get that record. And then the Penguins got officially eliminated from the playoffs last night for the first time in 16 years. They had an opportunity to get in. They controlled their own destiny and lost a massive game 2 nights ago against the Blackhawks, where they were a $5 favorite. I think it was the biggest favorite of the entire hockey season, I heard on the radio. It was the biggest favorite of the year, and lost outright. Not only lose, they lost soundly, 5-2. And I don't think they were ever leading in the game. They were down 1-0, and they were down 2, made it tied at 1-1, and then got down 2-3-1, and then never got back in the game. So
that's got to be one of the worst losses in Penguins history. Without it, I mean, not worse, but I mean that's. I minus 500 and a must win to get in the playoffs, and you can't
against a very mediocre team and just don't show up. But who knows? I don't know. It's just one of those things where maybe they just I don't know. Maybe the thought of playing the Bruins. I doubt if that was the reason, but they still actually had a chance to get 7th if they would have won that night and got just a little bit more help. They had a chance to get the 7th spot and avoid Boston, but they're going home now. I think they play some meaningless game tonight. Do they play tonight? I think they play at Columbus tonight or tomorrow night to round out the season. And then the Nailers are done out of the playoffs and the Penguins done. That's very unusual for us not to have one of those two teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, they go to Columbus tonight.
Is that tonight?
Yep,
and
7 o'clock.
I think the season must wrap up tonight. And then get ready for the playoffs. NBA, were there any upsets in the playoffs? I know the Lakers won 2 nights ago.
The Hawks beat the Heat yesterday on Tuesday. Hawks beat the Heat, then Lakers beat the Timberwolves. And then last night the Bulls beat the Raptors and the Thunder beat the Pelicans. I don't think that was really any of a big upset or anything. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you because I don't really care.
Right, exactly.
But tomorrow the Bulls play the Heat, and then the Thunder play the Timberwolves. So, again, it's really important for those teams to get that 7-8 seed rather than the 9-10 because you lose, you get another chance. So,
yeah,
we'll see. I guess maybe it'll get more exciting as the time goes on. But we got to go to break.
Yeah, we got to hit the break here. We appreciate you joining us here on the Watchdog or the Pine Room Podcast. We got a lot to talk about today, a lot to cover. Remember, Mike Florio is coming on here at the 2 o'clock hour, so stay tuned. We got draught papers, Beachly beheadings, expensive shoes, ball game vendor issues, and South Korean pharmaceuticals. All coming up here on the Pine Room Podcast here on the Watchdog. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Metro News. I'm Chris Lawrence. Kanawha County Sheriff's deputies say a child is recovering after he was hit by a vehicle while waiting on the school bus this morning near St. Albans. A witness, plus the driver, and a nearby doorbell video confirmed the 9-year-old boy was lying in the roadway playing when the driver turned the corner onto the street and didn't see him. The car ran over the youngster's leg. Now, deputies say the driver realized something had happened and stopped. And when he did see what had happened, he called 911 and rendered aid to the boy until authorities arrived. The boy is being treated at a local hospital. The driver faces no charges. A student at Martinsburg's Spring Mills High School is organizing a student walkout for next week in support of gun control. The event, being set for April 20th, and 9th grader Clarity Crabtree is reportedly encouraging classmates to leave school at noon. She's asked them to also carry signs to stand up and attempt to create change within the community and nation. April 20th is significant since it's the anniversary of the Columbine High School shooting. Administrators say Crabtree will not face disciplinary action over the event. It's one of a number of walkouts being organized across the country in the wake of school shootings. Still no sign of a missing police canine in South Charleston. Officers from multiple departments spent much of Wednesday looking for the missing dog, a Belgian Malinois that belongs to the Chapmanville Police Department. The handler lives in South Charleston and turned the dog named Chase into his backyard for a few moments before heading off to work. The dog jumped the fence and hasn't been seen since. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. WVU student Azim Khan is being honored for his leadership in public service. Khan was recently named a Truman Scholar and says his dedication to his community has gone a long way.
To understate the importance of doing the little things, doing hard work, and really just every single day trying to win the day by, giving it your all.
He's the 26th WVU student to receive the award since its inception. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
How much could a cyber attack cost your business? The costs stemming from a cyber attack can vary tremendously, but are extremely significant. Recent studies have shown that the average cost of a data breach to small business can range from $120,000 to $1.2 million. In addition to financial loss, companies also suffer downtime, lost opportunities, and data recovery expenses that can all quickly add up. Could your organization survive a cyber incident? If you are unsure if you are doing enough to protect your data, reputation, and dollars from cyber criminals, contact the team at Omni Strategic Technologies today. Omni has the right tools and support to help keep your business protected. Call 304-242-7600 and schedule your free consultation today, or visit omniperforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only cybersecurity and advisory firm that the Watchdog trusts.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
During World Autism Month, we are coming together to celebrate all the different learners in our classrooms. We must also tell our lawmakers to make sure our schools have what they need to meet every child's needs, no exceptions. Contact your legislator today and urge them to fully fund an updated Fair School funding plan in this state budget.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Are you starting to question your gambling or the actions of someone you love?
It may be time to talk to someone who understands.
Call the Problem Gambling Helpline today and talk to a trained specialist.
There's no judgment and no commitment.
Plus, it's completely free and confidential.
We're here for you. You are not alone.
And remember,
we all have the power to change.
With the Problem Gambling Helpline of Ohio.
Make the call today.
Call the Problem Gambling Helpline of Ohio at 1-800-589-9966.
Need a new suit? Looking for a good book? Searching for a unique gift? The Ohio Valley's premier shopping choice is the Highlands. Find jewelry, hot new tech, arts and crafts, over 24 stores to visit. From Walmart and Target to Cabela's, Menards, Kohl's, and Old Navy. Plan a day out of shopping, dining, and entertainment at the Highlands. At the top of the hill off I-70. See it all online at hitthehighlands.com.
Why? Just think about it. Why is the #1 selling brand of chainsaws not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot? We can give you over 10,000 reasons. That's how many authorized local steel dealers you can find across the country. Visit one and you'll find a range of dependable gas and battery-powered tools, from trimmers to blowers. And you'll find service from experienced professionals. Real steel. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Pine Room Podcast is coming right here to the Watchdog every Monday at 2 o'clock. Covering sports from around the region, we'll be taking deep dives into your favorite high school, college, and NFL teams on WKKX and WVLY. Tune in to the Pine Room.
All right, welcome back in. PRP on the Watchdog. Matt back with you. I swam across the river.
Yeah.
So I swam the Slobovian Channel to get over here to the studio. But man, it's always a difficult job,
Trek.
a task to get
Trek.
around here. I mean, something's going wrong every single day. Whether it's an accident, obviously construction. Don't see enough of that. But Jarrett had his problems the other day. I have my problems every day.
And then Warwood, we ought to try navigating through Warwood, going well. Either way, they're doing something with telephone poles, either replacing telephone poles or wires or something. But it's been going on for
it's been a month now at least.
a
month, and boy, try when the Corpus Christi and Warwood let out.
Oh yeah, you get caught behind a bus or in the wrong time, you're
done.
finished.
You're
finished.
Literally, if you need to be somewhere, you may as well call and say there's absolutely no way, because there's no way around it. That's the problem. I tried to duck down onto Richland the Tuesday. I said I'll avoid this. Warwood School letting out, so they blocked the entire street out. So then I had to turn around, come back up, and then try to fight to get across the traffic that I just tried to avoid. So it's really,
it never ends.
Speaking of Richland, wasn't Richland the street that Paul Hankish got?
No, Highland.
Oh, it's Highland.
I believe it's Highland. I believe it was Highland up behind the church. We'll find that out. I'm going to ask. That's one of my questions I want to ask Mike. But I think that's where the explosion was, on Highland Avenue.
Well, I think somebody tried to kill him a few times. I mean, I thought I read one time that he got shot out on Richland Avenue, but I could be wrong.
Well, that could be.
Where did he live at? Do you have any idea?
I don't know the answer.
We'll find out more.
I don't know the answer to that, but I know the explosion when he got his
Highland?
legs blown off. Yeah, was I believe on Highland. Yeah. I'm going to be interested to talk to Mike about that.
And the explosions created some potholes that are still there. So,
wow.
Yeah,
indeed.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. So
Paul Hankish, you remember he was.
So the reason I brought it up is because we obviously got Mike Florio, and his dad was worked for the Hankish crew, so which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
so we'll talk.
I knew his dad, Butch. I knew Butch. He was a unique fellow, man. He was really cool. And I'm sure it does you too, Matt. That, as I said before, that era intrigues me to no end. I think it's one of the coolest eras ever in the entire United States. I think how the country was run back then was really intriguing. I think there was a lot of good to be said for it, to be honest with you.
Agreed. Jubb, what do we got?
We got a caller with a couple thoughts.
All right, caller, welcome to the Pine Room Podcast. Who are you?
Hello, gentlemen. Well,
I'm usually known by another name when I call in, but I called in a week or so ago, and you guys called me Mr. Umpire.
Oh, okay. Mr. Umpire it is then.
So I was okay with that.
Sounds great.
But first of all, you guys do a good show.
Thank you.
You know, they did a good job bringing you guys on board, and I think you have a good listening crowd. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I'm going to guess that. But you guys are talking about all this construction and damage and potholes, and I just want to commend you for not blaming it on Trump.
Yeah, most people would, right?
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also too, when I called in a week or so ago, I was talking about going to like Cambridge and doing games when it's been absolutely freezing.
Right.
It's nice to do games now when you're sweating.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'd rather that than be cold.
Yes. Now tell, are you just strictly, are you a softball umpire or are you a baseball umpire also?
Softball only, high school softball.
Okay, tell, and this is, I'm interested to hear your answer on this because I've been following.
My God, I hope it's not a rule question.
No. I've been following softball for a long time. I do some PA announcing for Wheeling Park and, do some stuff up at 470. What do you think of, and I don't want to put you on the spot here.
Well, if you put me on the spot, I'm hanging up because there's probably people listening that's going to hang me.
Well, I'm just getting a generalization here, and I think it's due to numbers also. Do you think the talent level, especially the pitching in the softball, is it not as dominating as it has been in the past?
Amazing that you asked that question. Because, yes, it's nowhere near what it used to be. And I don't believe, I don't know what happened to softball here in the last couple of years. I mean, I still enjoy doing the games, but yes, the quality of softball has went down for some reason. And I don't know what it is.
Right. That's why I asked you. My thoughts are exactly the same, and especially I see it pitching. The pitching years ago was just dominating. There were so many good pitchers, and now there may be one or two in the valley.
I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 at the most.
Okay, well,
really,
you see a lot more than
really
I do.
Good pitchers.
Yes.
And some of them bring smoke, and the ones that don't bring smoke are able to locate the ball.
Yes.
Right.
And it's and I equivalent that to, obviously you guys remember Tom Glavine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Tom Glavine didn't throw 90 mile an hour or 100 mile an hour, but he could put the ball where he needed to. And if you can do that pitching, you're going to do okay for the most part.
Absolutely.
Now, have you who in your opinion? Give me the couple best teams in the Valley, softball wise, that you've seen, and from your perspective.
Well, JM has a good team.
They've got a good pitcher though. Pettit's a very solid pitcher,
He's a good
correct?
pitcher, and their second and third pitchers are pretty good also.
Okay.
Park's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got some issues when you have. I just saw the other night they had 8 errors in a game and got beat. I mean, you have 8 errors, you're not going to win for the most part. But they're pretty solid, and they played JM pretty good the first time they played, and they lost 5-4, and ended up giving up. From what I've heard or read or something, they gave up 400 runs, and they lost 5-4. So there comes the defense again.
Yes. Anybody else that stood out on how about in Ohio?
Ferry's pretty good. Harrison Central's pretty good. Belaire's not bad at all. Shadyside's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw Shadyside's like 14-2, I believe. They've got a very, very good record. But
last time I did Shadyside, they had just lost their first game the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're well coached. They're good players. Here's another thing. Most of the girls that I've been around this year and the past couple of years, they do respect the game and respect one thing that goes unsaid a lot. They respect the umpiring, and that goes a long way as an umpire. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yep. When you got people that respect the job that you do and realize, it can be really hard at times. But, we go out there every night to do the best job we can.
I think you guys do a great job, actually.
Wouldn't have games without you, Mr. Umpire.
Well, that is true unless you get people out of the stands to umpire.
Yeah, that'll go well.
Good luck with that.
Hey, well, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the compliments.
Have a great rest
Well,
of your
keep up the
season.
good job, guys.
Yes.
And I'll run into you somewhere along the way.
Yeah, and I'm up at Park here in a couple of weeks or so, but I'll make a point to introduce myself to you. And I think I probably met you guys when I was at the Christmas party.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, needless to say, hey, let's just keep rolling and just remember, anything that goes wrong in this world, it's Trump's fault.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Umpire, checking in. Nice to hear from him.
Nice compliments from him. I don't recall who that would have been at the Christmas party, but
well, I mean, you didn't have very many drinks. So
we had a few cold ones.
None of us
night,
did,
so.
but yeah.
Appreciate that call, and I agree with him 100%. The quality of talent has significantly, and I'm not knocking the girls that are playing now. Believe me, I'm just saying the quality of play, and you've seen it, Matt, too, at all levels. Jarrett, you've seen it. It's just not the same. The numbers aren't the same. The talent isn't the same, and
it's a shame because softball really is a cool sport to watch. I really like softball.
Yeah, well, I'm even talking baseball.
But
too,
really. I mean,
and the differential in the scores in most of these games anymore, you can tell they're just.
Sadly, it's. I mean, and I don't know the reason for the softball, but and not being a female, I can't speculate. But like just the era of young men now, younger kids, they'd rather stay inside and play video games, to be honest with you, than play baseball. It's a problem.
It's funny.
Coming up through the ranks.
It's funny. Sorg and I, my painting partner, just talked that exact same thing yesterday about the level of talent. How he used to take his son and daughter to the basketball court and they'd shoot for hours, shoot foul shots, or shoot jumpers, or just practice on the little parts of it. You never see that anymore.
As soon as the weather would get nice, you're outside the whole time. Like from the time you get home from school or on a weekend, the entire day, you're either playing basketball or football or baseball or whatever. It just didn't stop. And now, I mean, again, it's not a criticism, but it's just the way it is, sadly. And I mean, I don't know. There's a fine balance there, I feel like, because I think on the other side of that, you have these AAU tournaments that are treated like businesses, and these kids get burned out at a really young age. So you got that problem as well. So fine balance is what you're trying. But I guess that's of all walks of life and anything you do. So you want to try to have a balance.
I'm sure there's probably a number of reasons why, like you said, kids getting burnt out and probably getting pushed too high. I don't know.
I don't think kids work at it though. Too, they feel like they're entitled. So everybody's entitled to something, and they don't work hard to earn it.
In life, people think things are easy, and they're just not. And again, it's not a knock on the younger generation. It's just our society has now turned. Where we don't reward the hard work as much as, well, you should get this because this guy's got it. Well, maybe he worked harder or she worked harder. You gotta earn what you get. But
humility is a hard thing anymore in our society. It's all the kids think, not all of them, but a lot of kids think they're better than they are. They think they're Division
sometimes
I.
Their parents don't help them.
No, a lot of times
works against them.
They're Division I prospects, and they need all the different uniforms, 5 different uniforms, different hats. They need to, and that's attributed to this NIL stuff and a transfer portal too. It's become a me kind of thing, and instead of team and working hard and earning, and baseball humble you. Jared will tell you that, man. These kids that come out of high school and think they're going to walk right in and be the superstar.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening. Whether you think you're going to be a shortstop and hit third, and at whatever level, it doesn't matter.
Well, I remember we talked to Steve Kennedy and Bryce Butler in here several weeks ago, and they talked about how difficult Division II is, playing Division II. The competitive level of Division II, and how many good players there are in all the sports.
Well, and I think we can finally, if there's one positive in the transfer portal, we can finally put to bed the notion that the Division II guys aren't as good as Division I, because they're now getting taken from Division II teams and supplanted to Division I's. We've seen it firsthand, guys. We know it's happened time after time after time. So I think we just put that to bed. If your kid is getting D2 offers in any sport, you should be proud of that. It's a great stepping stone in your life. Like it's great. D2 athletics is so underrated in all
absolutely
facets across the board. But
you're absolutely right. It's like, I mean, think about it. It's the division below Division I. It's not that. It's not like you're going and not anything wrong with like a JUCO or an NAIA. I mean, anywhere you go, if you can go play college sport, go play college sport.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, Dale Bonner went from Fairmont to be a force at Baylor, national tour, then ended up being a national champions a year before he got there. Right. And then Dalton Bolin, West Liberty, huge factor for College of Charleston. Bryce Butler's going to the College of Charleston and going to be a big contributor.
And who knows where the Nova guys are
right, Sunahara. And, well, I just told you the other, Pierre's going to the University of Memphis.
Yep. So I mean, there's a starting guy off Nova getting poached by Penny Hardaway in Memphis.
Yeah. It's
like one of the top recruiters in the country.
Absolutely.
Memphis has been the last few years with Penny Hardaway.
So anyway, you kids out there that think the Mountain East Conference isn't very good, or you need to go higher than that to prove yourself,
Don't reach.
I was just say I'd rather go to a Division II school where I'm going to play than go to a Division I school and never see the field.
Yeah.
I always use Michael Gebbia as my example of Division II as opposed to Division I. He had some Division I offers. He could have went and been like a couple other guys that I won't name that went to West Virginia and sat on the bench, played sparing minutes. Or he could have went to West Liberty and been like, what is he, like the third all-time leading scorer?
Yeah, I mean, and he really was on track to be the leading scorer ever. But that if Crutchfield doesn't come along, I mean, his people forget how great Jeb was there. Because you had the next era of Crutchfield guys there. But yeah, he kind of set the tone and put West Liberty basketball on the map a little bit.
And that's why I said if he would have went to West Virginia, he would have just had a very, very mediocre career. But he had a stellar career. He'll be always remembered as a great player, and he was satisfied. He knew, Michael was smart enough to know that he was never going to play in the NBA, but he could have a great career.
Yeah,
and it
set him up perfectly.
And he flourished, and it was he was proud of what he did.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, Mr. Umpire triggered that conversation. That was good.
That's a good discussion. And again,
appreciate
D2.
that.
Oh, and shout out to my buddy Jordan Fee, the assistant coach at Nova Southeastern, national champion, now the head coach at Gannon up in Erie,
Matt,
Pennsylvania.
do you think that is he going to try to implement?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yes. Yep.
So he's going to try to play a 100-point game every night.
So I think you're going to see. We talked to Devin Hearn on the pregame show. So we have Devin, Coach Crutchfield, Coach Howlett, and now Coach Fee. All West Liberty players who are now coaches, and obviously Coach Crutchfield. They will all be implementing that same style or keeping the same.
Be interested to see in the PSAC how night in, night out, how teams are going to they to that.
I think it's a great move because nobody in the PSAC plays like that, and that gave obviously IUP the top team in the PSAC. They could not stop West Liberty, so I think Jordan's got himself a really good job, and knowing that he grew up around the area, I'm really happy for him. It's pretty cool.
I'd love to talk to him, get him on.
We will, yeah.
Well, like in how he's going to transform these guys that are there
in the program still.
Yeah, how he's going to transform them playing the 60-point games, to grind them out to go, just for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm going to be interested to hear how his. I'd like to actually talk to him now and hear what his thinking is about how he plans to implement that.
Well, once he gets settled, I'll shoot him a text.
That'd be good.
Get him on. Gannon's a good athletic program, so I think their fans have to be super excited about this.
Well, I know one thing: those the returning guys better be out doing wind sprints or be.
They'll get left behind quick.
I don't know if they'd be excited that they're going to score a lot of points, or they're going to be worried because they got to run.
Well, they better get Brad Becca to beat them up.
Yeah, we'll get Brad.
Do some suicides because they're not going to jog down and play zone defense and try to run the shot clock down to.
The entire program will be transformed. So
that's exciting.
It is.
What are they? Gannon? What's her?
What's
their
Knights or something, aren't they? Well, they're
Golden Knights.
Yeah, Gannon Golden
They'll be
Knights.
the running Golden Knights now.
They sure will be. So shout out to Fee. Jubb, did you find the keys to the time machine? Do we have time?
I mean, yeah. If we want to go, we want to go right now.
Let's hop in. We got about 10
go
minutes.
Right now. All right. Let me get the keys out. They were under the desk. I had to dust them off earlier today.
How come they're never right there? You always can't find them.
Because when we leave, I just sit them somewhere, and I never know.
And Lola probably doesn't know where they are or whose they are, so she puts them in a drawer.
Well, let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Read my lips.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
One small step.
You want to see the wizard?
We shall fight on the beaches.
That, of course, signifying that we are indeed back in time, and you along with us, wherever you may be. We got a couple dates here today. I'll let you take it as usual.
All right. So, April 13th, the year 1560. Giovanni, the son of the Italian mathematician Girolamo Cardano, is executed for poisoning his wife, despite attempts by his father to save him. So, his father, Girolamo, was a really famous mathematician and scholar in the Renaissance period in Italy. And I don't really know why his son poisoned his wife or whatever, but he kind of went off the rails, and his dad couldn't save him. So he went to I don't know if he went guillotine or hanging or whatever, but not a good fate for Giovanni, so don't poison your wife out there, no matter how much she annoys you and tells you to do the dishes, take out the trash.
Jarrett, take us a little further in time.
Yeah, we didn't go too far back this ride. But we're going to hop up about 200 years, a little over 200 years, to 1769. British ship. Is that the Endeavour?
Endeavour.
Endeavour.
Oh, boy. Tricky spelling.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't been in school for a while.
Yeah. Try being us.
British ship.
Endeavour.
Oh, my Lord.
Captained by James Cook, arrives in Matavai Bay, Tahiti, with botanist Joseph Banks on board. So I guess that's pretty significant, huh?
Well, the thing about Tahiti in those times, the British colonies were trying to go out and search and find as many of these animal species and things that they could. So this would have to have been a really great place for, well, in this case, a botanist, a plant guy. But I'm sure in those days the botanist kind of transformed over to animals as well, would know what animals would eat what. But fascinating species that were found on some of those islands like Tahiti. So pretty,
I can't imagine going, landing somewhere that you've never been before. Nobody's ever been,
and there was, native peoples there, too. So then you have to deal with that as well. So
that had to be a little scary.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah. Tahiti, place I always want to go.
Yeah.
April 13th, 1796, Napoleon's forces defeat Allied armies of Austria and Sardinia at the Battle of Millesimo, I believe.
Yep.
I don't know too much about this battle, but I know that Napoleon, he was a bit of a knucklehead, but he got things done.
Yeah, I don't know much about it either. This part in Italy where he invaded, obviously he had aspirations to take over the world, so it didn't work out very well for the little guy.
Yeah, he was 5'6".
Yes.
Yeah, it said that these battles were fought in a town called Liguria.
Mm-hmm.
Liguria. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Northern Italy.
Yes.
Interesting place.
Yeah, and then the Pony Express rider in April 13th, obviously, of 1860, the very first Pony Express rider. Who's the Pony Express in football?
Was it SMU? Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
When they had Craig James and those guys.
Wonder why they. What are they now? Mustangs.
Yeah, but that's what they called their nickname, the Pony. That was before they got the death penalty.
Oh, that's right.
They did get the death
penalty. This first Pony Express rider reaches Sacramento after beginning in St. Joe, Missouri.
Can you imagine riding a horse that long?
We talked about that.
We did because he set out from
2
St.
weeks
Joseph.
ago.
Yeah, it was when so it probably took him.
Wonder how far he could drive. Wonder how far he could ride in one day with the horse. How long would the horse last?
Yeah.
Till he was okay.
Well, yeah, we said
I've had enough.
I'm done. I'm laying down.
It took him 2 weeks to send a message, just say hi.
I'm done.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Or LOL.
What was the message? And then he's like, "All right, respond with this reply." And he had to turn right around.
I think we looked it up. The message was that the Pony Express was up and running.
Yeah.
So, Jubb, what do you think that when the horse reaches his limit, like a car needing gas, and what's the horse need?
Oh,
I'm assuming he needs water,
oats and hay and water.
Yeah,
probably maybe a shoe a little help with a shoe.
Yeah, boot.
Do they lay down to sleep, Jubb, or do horses?
Yeah, some do. Some they know they can sleep standing up, they also lay down. They
can.
Yeah,
they probably said, "Why me? Why did I get picked for this?"
How could you sleep standing up?
I don't know, but horses have the amazing ability to sleep standing up, but they also do sleep lying down.
Yep.
If you're a horse, you need to be able to do both. So one of the mistakes that people make a lot about
Is it a fallacy when you see cows laying down or there's rain coming?
That's what what they say. I don't know.
That's the thing.
It seems pretty accurate from what I've seen, but I'm not.
No, that's the only reason I'm asking that, Job, is because you say horses lie down too, and I see cows sometimes lying down, and they say if you see them lying down, there's rain coming.
I don't like when my racehorses lie down.
The simplest answer to that is that cows can sense increasing air moisture and will plop down to preserve a dry patch of grass.
So okay.
Another theory states that cows lie down to ease their stomachs, which are supposedly sensitive to changes in atmospheric pressure brought on by rainfall.
So take a look at the cows, and
Well,
they can always
how
ask
about the
Chance.
third option? They're tired.
This is what. Well, real quick, this is what the Farmer's Almanac says. Cows lying down in a field more often means they're chewing on their cud rather than preparing for raindrops. And then it says, just think, if weather predictions were made on the actions of cows, the forecast would always be grim. Because cows always lay down.
I don't know if they always lay down. When I go by Baker's Farm, they're up a lot.
I say stick to asking Champ. He can tell you when it's going to rain. He's got that rod in his leg.
Yeah.
It's sore when it's getting ready to rain.
So anyway, congrats to that Pony Express rider.
Yeah, Matt, I think we're going to have to stay
we'll
back in
around.
time because I think we're running out of hydraulic.
We'll take a break and hang around and give you the rest of the Pine.
It's like the Pony Express rider.
Time machine, yeah. All right, we'll be back here on the PRP on the Watchdog, and we'll stay in the time machine. Coming up next.
Every time I open my mouth, I have regrets in my mind. Every time, and no one seems to figure me out. I guess it's stress. It's making me feel so depressed. Most my life I felt so tired, but every now and then when I try, I say, keep it up and go on. You're only holding out for what you want.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600, WKKX Wheeling.
ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Police in San Francisco making an arrest in the fatal stabbing of Cash App founder Bob Lee.
While police aren't yet giving any details, city leaders in San Francisco are confirming the arrest of a killer in the death of Cash App founder Bob Lee. He was stabbed to death and was seen stumbling down a street at around 2:30 in the morning before he collapsed. Police had said they didn't know if it was random or targeted. The online site Mission Local reports a suspect was arrested in a nearby city, was known to Lee, and is another tech executive. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Former President Trump sitting for a second deposition today in Manhattan, answering questions for New York Attorney General's civil fraud lawsuit related to the valuation of his company's real estate portfolio. ABC's Aaron Katursky is in Manhattan.
If he declines to answer questions again, then that invocation of his Fifth Amendment right could be used against him when the civil case goes to trial, scheduled currently for October. Unlike a criminal case where jurors are not allowed to consider a defendants not testifying, in a civil case, a jury can draw an adverse inference from a defendant's decision to invoke his Fifth Amendment right.
An appeals court issuing a partial ruling against a Texas judge on the banning of abortion pill mifepristone. The Fifth Circuit ruling that the drug can still be made available, but only until 7 weeks of pregnancy instead of 10 weeks. ABC's Rachel Scott has more.
This appeals court weighing in after conflicting rulings from federal judges about whether the abortion drug should be banned, but Democratic-led states not waiting for that to come down, wasting no time taking matters into their own hands to stockpile the abortion drug. Washington State, for instance, bought enough for a 3-year supply in that state.
The White House will likely challenge the ruling. Jobless claims climbed to the highest level in just over a year, 239,000 Americans filing for first-time benefits last week. You're listening to ABC News.
If you own a small to medium-sized business that kept employees on payroll through COVID, you may have a big cash refund waiting for you. The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee. And now, more businesses than ever qualify. The experts at RefundsPro.com specialize in cutting through the red tape of qualifying for this government program. Most of their refunds are over $100,000. Even businesses that have received PPP funds may be eligible. And there are absolutely no fees unless you receive a refund. So there's no reason not to apply. If your business experienced shutdowns, limited capacity, supply chain challenges, or reduced revenue due to COVID, you likely qualify. RefundsPro.com has already helped hundreds of businesses. So don't lose the refund you're owed by missing the deadline. Get started today with a free 5-minute questionnaire at refundspro.com. That's refunds with an S, pro.com.
North Korea has fired off another missile, this time an ICBM that the U.S. says could have longer range capabilities. ABC's Britt Clinett is in Taiwan.
North Korea ramping up tension in this region again, firing another missile, the 12th already this year. Now, the launch causing a scare in Japan's Hokkaido Island. Air raid sirens blaring out there over fears that the missile could have hit the area. Now, the Japanese government called off an evacuation order after 20 minutes. South Korea saying the missile actually landed in the sea east of North Korea.
The Texas governor now moving ahead with plans to pardon the man convicted of killing a protester at a Black Lives Matter demonstration in 2020.
The decision of the jury was unanimous. Uber driver Daniel Perry was not justified in shooting Garrett Foster to death, even though Foster was holding a rifle. After hearing the outrage of fellow conservatives, Governor Greg Abbott promised to pardon Perry after his sentencing. Foster's fiancée, Whitney Mitchell, was at that BLM protest.
Just watched him die in front of me.
She calls Abbott's promise of a pardon
disgusting, and I can't understand it.
In a statement, Abbott says the conviction goes against Texas laws on self-defense. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Archaeologists in Egypt have uncovered an artifact in an ancient burial ground. A 3,200-year-old tomb found in a vault near Cairo belongs to the guard of an Egyptian deity. This is ABC News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
I'm Kate Burdett on the Ohio News Network. Yesterday was the first full day of testimony in the trial against former Columbus police officer Andrew Mitchell. He's facing a murder charge for the 2018 shooting death of Donna Castleberry. Lacey Crisp with ONN affiliate WBNS-TV was in the courtroom.
3 Columbus police officers testified in court. Now, Detective Laura Evans worked with Andrew Mitchell back in the Vice Unit in 2018. She testified on the stand. She talked about how they went through shoot or don't shoot training. Prosecutors explained that Castleberry did not believe Mitchell was a cop. Evans was asked about how arrests usually happen. Lacey Crisp in Columbus.
Days of nonstop rain in South Florida are transforming roadways into rivers. Some areas around Fort Lauderdale saw more than a foot of rainfall in 24 hours, and the city's airport had to close. And people who would like some help with driving through a roundabout have a chance to get it this weekend in Northwest Ohio. Amanda Fay with ONN affiliate WTOL-TV in Toledo explains.
The Lucas County Engineer's Office and Lucas County Safe Communities are joining together for a roundabout drive-through training session. So you can come and practice your roundabout skills as instructors teach you the do's and don'ts of going through them. The event is this Saturday from 11 to 1 at the Sylvania BMV on McCord Road.
I'm Amanda Fay. I'm Kate Burdett on the Ohio News Network.
304-214-1600. Call the Watchdog with your thoughts. We'll be right back to Local Talk.
How much could a cyber attack cost your business? The costs stemming from a cyber attack can vary tremendously, but are extremely significant. Recent studies have shown that the average cost of a data breach to small business can range from $120,000 to $1.2 million. In addition to financial loss, companies also suffer downtime, lost opportunities, and data recovery expenses that can all quickly add up. Could your organization survive a cyber incident? If you are unsure if you are doing enough to protect your data, reputation, and dollars from cyber criminals, contact the team at Omni Strategic Technologies today. Omni has the right tools and support to help keep your business protected. Call 304-242-7600 and schedule your free consultation today, or visit omniperforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only cybersecurity and advisory firm that the Watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly sunny skies, a daytime high near 82. 52 for the overnight low under partly cloudy skies. Plenty of sunshine around for your Friday with highs in the low 80s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Got yourself in trouble. Kissed her, now you see him double. Twister, it's all gonna crumble. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, back in here on the PRP, on the Watchdog. We're in the time machine still. It's a good thing it's comfortable in here. April 13th, 1861 is where we'll pick it back up. We got Mike Florio in about an hour from now, so set your watches, set your alarms. I don't even know if people wear watches anymore, but
I wear
set
one.
your
I
phone,
got mine
Coach.
on.
You do. Yeah, Job does.
Actually,
all right.
I got mine
Yeah,
on,
I
too.
guess that's wrong. Apple kind of reinvented the
Apple.
watch, and then they got those Google watches. So,
But I wear a watch just for time. Most people now wear a watch for
check your messages,
alarms,
Right.
alarms, messages. Mine just is strictly for time.
I will say though, I have this Apple Watch on, and I all the time check for time. Like I never in my life probably would have worn a watch or ever wear a watch, but I got this and I'd never miss a text, and I always know the time. So.
And somebody like you who always has to have your phone on you, taking calls and looking at text messages, it's nice that you don't have to carry your phone.
Right.
You can set it where you know you're not going to lose it, and then this will ping. And then if I get a message, I get like Jarrett saying, "Do you need eggs from Walmart?"
Well, and you never
I can
answer
look
that.
at it and then go, boom, he sent me a message.
So
you
you're
mean
saying,
that comes up on your watch?
Yeah.
So you're saying if he's up on the ladder and he's painting and he can see you guys messaging him,
Yeah.
I'm sure he can probably wait.
Yeah,
But then
definitely.
again,
Definitely.
to each their own.
I'm not playing checkers on my watch. I'm just taking time and messages.
To each their own, I guess. So,
Yeah.
A watch was made for time, right?
Well, whatever you're using for time, sundials, watches, phones, just get ready for Mike Florio in less than an hour
Yes.
here on the Pine Room Podcast.
That's right.
Time is the only commodity that you can never have enough of.
Yes.
Has Nick changed now? Does he wear his
He
watch
does,
on the correct?
He does wear it on the right
correct
arm because you said something to him.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
it should be.
Well, if you got thoughts on timepieces about which arm to wear, on 304-214-1600, we'd love to hear from you. FLORIO and Stack Auction Service Hotline. Speaking of time, we're in the time machine. April 13th, 1861. After a 34-hour bombardment, Fort Sumter is finally captured by the Confederacy. This signified the beginning of the Civil War. Quite remarkable. They held out for 34 hours, but they could not hold them off, I guess.
Fort Sumter's an amazing place.
It's pretty neat.
Right
I've never
out-
been
out
there
on
in
the
person,
water.
but it's really a cool location. Obviously, forts are usually set in locations like that to protect people from invaders.
Forts are just incredible. I said on the podcast,
Right.
go ahead and listen to that on, actually this morning it came out.
It's out.
Go ahead and listen to it. We talked about our trip to Key West, going to Fort Zachary Taylor. Super cool. So if you have any chance to go to a fort, go check it out. They're really cool. They're really
Indeed.
cool to experience.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to hop up here to 1944. Transport 71 departs Drancy internment camp in France, taking 1,500 French Jews to Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland. Just 91 survived. Amazing. Amazing.
Every time you read numbers, anything during that time period with the internment camps and the concentration camps, it really is depressing and deflating to see how many people just senselessly die.
Amazing.
Well, and you think that's not even 100 years ago.
I know.
I mean, that's that close to. I mean, we're not that far away from.
Well, just
that
when you think
happening.
we've turned the corner, then we have worse things coming up in our regular news.
Yeah, I
so
know,
we're going
I
back
know.
in time. We can't
I
escape
know.
the problems. All right, Jubb, where are we going
And
next?
then Robert Oppenheimer, depending on how you pronounce it, known as the father of the atomic bomb, is accused of being a communist. I am become death destroyer of worlds. I believe the new movie's coming out.
Yes.
Or is that a show? Is it a movie?
It's a movie. It's a Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan movie. It's going to be great. If you like the Dark Knight and those movies that he did, the Batman's probably the best Batman's. He's great. He's a great director. Really, really good cast. So
Yeah,
look forward to
intense
that.
stuff.
Yeah, and then rounding it out, in 1963 on this day, Pete Rose, one of the greatest players ever to play baseball, triples for his first major league hit, and that was his first of 4,256 hits.
Unbelievable.
And some of the other stats for him. Most games played by anybody, 3,562. Most at-bats, 4,053. Lifetime batting average, 303.
That's absurd.
10 seasons with 200 hits, only tied by Ichiro. And the guy isn't in the Hall of Fame.
It's shameful.
Let him in the Hall.
It's embarrassing.
It's just shameful.
Those statistics, I mean, so he gambled a little bit. I mean, really, do you think of the guys that are in the Hall of Fame?
When he got in trouble for that, he was managing, too. So, they just take into account what he did as a player. You can just cut it off there. I mean, incredible.
Before we go to, hold on, I got our telecommunications device. I don't know if it can reach back here, but we have on the line, before we go to our music and song stuff, Father Guido.
Oh, Father Guido, welcome to the PRP on a Watchdog. What say you?
Happy Thursday, Father.
Happy Thursday to the Pine Wood boys. I hope your wood is long and strong. You know what I mean?
We're working on that.
Well, thank you.
You look down the 2x4 and see if it's a crooked or you got a crooked, you throw away.
Okay.
Hey, who was the knucklehead that says you got to wear the watch on these? You wear it on the right. What's the right arm to wear a watch on?
I believe right if you're left arm if you're right-handed.
Opposite of your dominant hand.
Okay, I was going to say bust the butt if you were going to say, oh, it's got to be on the left hand, you know? No.
No, opposite of your dominant hand. I think you'd totally agree with that.
I totally agree with that. This is the Del Boogie?
This is, yes.
The Warwood, the legend?
Well, I don't know about that. Clearview, now, to be more specific, Father.
The hills of Clearview.
We live above. We keep an eye on Warwood now.
A legend in your own mind, right? Okay, I see.
Yes. And how are you, Father? What's new for you?
Still in Disney?
Well, no. Well, actually, we in the airport. Me and Sister Anna Marie.
Oh, Anna Marie.
What, a credit card run out on your way home?
No, the Pope says we got to get back to the spring of training starting over in the Vatican for the baseball.
All right.
Well, that's...
What's the Vatican? What's your guys' team name? Baseball team.
Holy Rollers?
Angels?
Holy Rollers. Oh, my gosh. You heard about
Absolutely. I mean, you've had some star players on that team. Moses.
We got Moses. We had Adam. Eve was our scorebook.
Yeah. Well,
Moses had a really good curveball, didn't he?
No, he had a splitter.
Literally split the sea. Good one, Coach.
How about that one, Joe?
Wow.
That was a good one.
Father liked that one. You can use that one, Father. Go ahead. It's not trademarked.
I'll give you credit for that one. Del Brooks says the Moses, they split the sea. Yeah, he throws the two-finger split their fastball, you know. Whoop. Anyway, we got the good. Like I said, we got the stronger team this year. I don't see us losing any games.
Who's your home opener against?
We're playing the Protestants.
The Protestants.
Wow, okay.
Oh, boy.
In the Coliseum.
Oh, nice.
Now, do you play, Father, or are you the manager?
No, I'm a utility. I go anywhere.
Oh, you go anywhere. You're probably the team chaplain, too.
Pope Frankie, he's the manager, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense.
And Jesus is the GM.
Now, when you guys are in the dugout, you don't have sunflower seeds, right? You guys have communion. You have communion in...
No, sacrilege. We say the rosary.
Oh, okay, got you.
Do you drink holy water
instead of Gatorade?
No, holy water is for... I told you how you make a holy water last week.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you. Boil the hell out of it. Anyway. No, we drink a beer.
Yeah.
And wine.
Sound like...
I've known a few priests that like to tip it, so, yeah, good.
There's a lot. We got a lot in AA.
Well, I don't know about that's not good, but, yeah, we'll take it.
It is what it is, you know. You start to drink of that wine, you don't quit. But,
right.
Well, when did you say spring training start? When's the opener? When do you guys? What is it, like 2 weeks of spring training?
We got the first of May. we open up.
1st of May. Well,
Boy, May's a big month. You got the Ascension of Jesus on the 18th, so big month for you guys.
We got the double header on that day.
I'll say. He won't be there for game 2, though.
No, he'd be gone. Bye-bye.
All right, he will return. All right, Father. Well, best of luck in your journey home.
I am. I hope to be safe and flat. This family, hey, get over here.
Tell sister we said hello.
She's playing the poker machine.
All right, I love her. All right, Father, talk to you soon. God bless you.
God bless.
So, how we thins? We talk again.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
All right, Father Guido checking in from the airport.
I like to see that team. I have you guys ever heard the spinoff of that? The last what is that called? That baseball spinoff. Have you ever heard that, Job? Where they talk about like Moses throwing a splitter and
no idea.
Oh, let me think about that.
Clue.
Shoot, Myersy used to play it all the time. It's incredible. I have to check with Myersy and see what the heck.
Is it
that
like
is.
who's on first?
Yes, it's like that. It's unbelievable.
The biblical baseball team.
Maybe that's it.
Umpiring crew. Home plate is God. First base Samuel. Second base Gideon. Third base Othniel.
No, that's not it. This is a verbal thing.
Designated hitters Goliath.
Now I have to text
Goliath wasn't a holy guy. He was a bad guy. He got slayed. He was the giant trying to kill David.
I'm going to find that out. But anyway,
I think we got another call coming in. Geez, the time machine's busy today.
Yeah, it is.
We may not have enough power to get home.
We got up to when was the telephone invented?
Alexander Graham Bell, I don't know, late 1800s maybe?
Yeah, I think we're far enough in time. But hey, real quick, do you guys know who Pete Rose got his first hit off of?
His triple?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Steve from St. Clairsville knows.
Ah, Steve.
It was a Pirate.
Welcome to the Pine Room Podcast.
Hello, Steve.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, just enjoying this weather and watching a little baseball here on TV. Tampa's chasing the record. They just tied it up 1-1 with Boston, so just enjoying things. How's things with you?
Man, I cannot believe the start for Tampa Bay.
Isn't that something?
Incredible. I know one thing. I'd like to maybe go see our friend over there at the casino, bet something on Wander Franco. Maybe it's an MVP.
It's funny you said that. I was just going to say the same thing. I think there
might be a little juice there.
Absolutely. He's off to a heck of a start. He's a dandy. So what else is going on?
Well, I've been listening to this station. I'm a diehard. And there's a guy in the morning, Howard Monroe, I believe is his name.
Yep. Yes.
He's skipped school a couple of days here in a row.
Yeah, he's got a little eye problem. We're sending our thoughts out to him.
I wish I had his kind of eye problems. You know, he could skip work. And have you seen the food he's been eating this week?
No, I haven't seen it, but I hear him talking about it. Now, you talk about a food connoisseur.
Well, I mean, this is guy. He can't go into work because his eyes are hurting because he said he needs to rest his eyes. So he puts it out there on social media that after he rested his eyes on Tuesday, he went down to the city building and performed some tasks down there, and then he went to Perkins and got himself a couple breakfasts for himself.
A couple?
Couple, yeah. Nancy ate the toast off one of them. And then yesterday, his eyes were still hurting and needed a rest, and he headed down to the Hall of Fame Cafe and took down the hot turkey sandwich, fries, and the chicken rice soup.
Well, he always talks about the soup, how incredible the soup is down there.
And this morning he was off, and I believe the Valley's waiting to see where he's eating right now.
Wow, that's so he's not home with patches on his eyes and medicine, huh?
Well, he's not taking any selfies, so he might have the old pirate patch on. It looks like Dalton Bolin from a couple years ago headed down to the Perkins there.
Hey, have you to switch subjects here? Have you done any baseball games yet?
No, we didn't. We couldn't do them this year. We have an obligation to do some baseball and OVAC softball championships. So those will be coming up here, and I believe they're that last weekend in April, going into May.
Okay, because I said the cutoff day's coming soon here for baseball.
Yeah, and I think they play that week leading up, like to the NFL draft weekend. I believe that's when the championships are. And honestly, the girls' softball's played at 470. And they've switched the boys here. They go kind of back and forth recently, like Toronto, 470, Edison. I'm not sure where they play.
Oh, okay. But you haven't done any Central games.
No, not at all.
Okay.
They're young. They're really young.
Yeah, I've
they're taking their licks. I mean, they got some talent coming. I can tell you that for sure.
Well, I'm sure you know. You're involved a little bit, aren't you? I heard.
Yeah.
I heard that reserve program, the JV program's really good. I heard.
The 8th graders are the ones that I'm watching pretty close. That's where the junior is. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they sure are getting some great weather, aren't they?
I got to tell you, there's a kid, an 8th grader. The last name's Ernest.
I've heard about him.
Coach, I don't even know where to start how good this
I've
kid
heard
is.
about him, yes.
We're playing our, about the middle school league.
Yeah, that's actually what I was referring to, the middle school league, yes.
And we're playing, our home games are Garden Park. He cleared one right center field over the big fence.
Oh, I heard about that, yes. Wow. Dave Porter was telling me.
Yeah, he was playing against Porter and some of them good kids down there. And it was probably 20 foot over that fence and landed beyond the bandstand out there.
Wow.
I've seen some men's softball hit him like that, but my good, for an 8th grade kid to hit him like that, I mean, it's a pretty good poke.
Yeah, and that's Doug's boy, correct?
Yes, it is.
I heard he's very good. But I heard some other good players, and I heard that's a really good feeder system for not only Central but Park too.
It's gonna do amazing things for high school baseball.
That's awesome.
And I don't know, it's going to be tough over the years to keep doing it because I think the weather. We're really spoiled this year with the weather.
Yes.
But can you play games in the middle of March?
Yeah.
We're able to do this
consistently,
year. Yeah. But no, we got a big one at Garden Park tonight, playing an undefeated St. Clairsville team.
Oh, okay.
Pretty pumped about that.
I've heard you Park Central games have been. I think you played twice. I heard they've been good games.
Very competitive, as competitive as you can be, and there's a lot of talent on both teams.
Good,
there really
good,
is.
good to hear.
Yeah. Steve's gonna. And last weekend you had Steve on, and Steve. Let me just say, Steve's one of my closest friends. Growing up, we were very good friends at Ritchie, Wheeling Elementary, or Wheeling Middle School, Wheeling Junior High at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I love Steve. Great baseball coach. I didn't hear how they did down there in Charleston. You guys interviewed him, and he was talking about Doyle was going to pitch and those guys. I couldn't find anything in the newspaper online about it.
Yeah, well, they got beat 6-0 by Hurricane, but it was 2-0 going to the 6th. They said it was a heck of a game.
Okay.
Then they beat Capital 20-1. Capital was very, very, very bad.
Okay.
And then they got beat 1-0 by GW, who I think Hurricane's number 1 in the state, and GW was 2 there. We're very happy with the way they played. Just didn't catch a couple breaks hitting, but they're playing a very difficult schedule. They played University, pounded them last night, play Steubenville tonight, and then they head to Bridgeport, play a very good Bridgeport team.
Bridgeport just gave Morgantown all they can handle.
Yeah, it's 9-8, I believe.
What the hell happened at Steubenville last night with Brooke?
I couldn't, and that's who Park plays tonight. I would be interested to talk to Frank or
Freddie
about that.
I mean, Steubenville was 7-8-0?
Yeah.
And got beat 19-9?
Yes, got beat 19-9.
I can't believe that.
By Brooke.
Yeah, I'm really shocked at that.
Well, keep us posted, buddy, on that middle school league. Love to hear about it.
Yep. Hey, guys, enjoy it. See you later.
All right, thanks,
pal.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Steve.
All right, Steve from St. C in action. All right, where were we? I forget.
Well, we are in the
just
time
tuned the
machine,
radio, right?
but
we're coming. Oh no, we're finishing up. Yeah.
We're finishing up here on the time machine, but I don't know how we want to roll here. I guess we should just finish up the time machine, and then if we have time for 2 lives, we can throw it in.
We can do 2 lives.
We got to. I'm on a 2-game winning streak.
But,
we'll do 2 lives. We can condense the news. The news will wait.
Yeah, so we'll tune the radio here. We're gonna do things a little different because I felt like our top songs have been like for the younger audience. So these past couple weeks, we are actually gonna change now. We're gonna start at the top of our charts all the way back and turn of the millennium back to 1998. So back to 1948. So can you guys guess? We're going to go back 1998 real quick. 1998 top song. Top song 1998.
I got no
98.
98. It was 3 weeks in the top chart, won a Grammy in 1999 for the best rap solo performance.
Dr. Dre. No, I don't know. Tupac. No, Biggie. I don't know.
You don't want to be on the other end of him if you're announcing the Grammys or the Oscars.
Will Smith.
Miami.
Yeah.
Getting Jiggy with
It's
It.
just horrendous song. God, it's so bad.
I will say I'm a big fan of his Miami.
Oh,
I love
Miami's a
that
great song. I don't dislike Will Smith. That's a horrible
And
song.
then 1988, it was in the week top charts for 5 weeks, best-selling single of the year, and won a Grammy for Best Album of the Year. Actually, I take that back. No, that's the next one. But this was the best single of the year for this particular artist.
Was it a girl or a guy?
It was a guy. He is from from Great Britain.
Oh boy. Oh jeez.
A little Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Astley.
I just only know that from Family Guy. He's on there.
And then this next one was in 1978, 8 weeks in the top charts as number one, most for any single that year, and its other song was number 2 for 5 weeks at the same time. One of my favorite bands. We listened to them at your house.
Bee Gees? No, that'd be too recent.
Night Fever,
okay, yeah,
1978.
Finally got one.
It was Staying Alive was number 2 in the same 8 weeks that.
Now, these are great songs.
Yeah.
Right here.
And then we're going to go for the 1968. This was 4 weeks in the top charts. Won 2 Grammy Awards for Best R&B Song and Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. It's one of the most played songs on Spotify, at least from this generation, 1968.
68?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. And an R&B
It
song
has
has
over 200 million plays more than any other song
Coach, this
on
would
here.
be something maybe you would know.
1968, did you say?
1968.
Elvis Presley. Oh,
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding.
Dock of the Bay. 1958. We're going to go down. This was top in the top charts for 5 weeks in a row. And this was you just mentioned his name.
Elvis.
Elvis is Don't. Was 1958 top charts for 5 weeks, and then finally, this is a woman in the top charts. In 1948, she was in the top charts for
Patsy
9
Cline.
weeks in a row.
Patsy Cline.
No, I've never heard of this. Well, yes, I have, but I've never heard this song before.
No idea.
No clue.
Manana, It's Soon Enough for Me by Peggy Lee.
Oh, Peggy Lee.
Manana. That means tomorrow. Right?
Wow. Yeah, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, but there's your top
Espanol.
songs for this week. That was a little more.
Yeah, but do you have one from this this year?
No, I don't. We wanted to back it up for this week, but
I think the time machine's about out of gas.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
a long ride.
It
so.
is.
All right, are we ready for a break? I think we are.
We're all over the place.
We're ready for a break here on the PRP. Coming back, we're going to get 2 lives on a Florida guy, and then get some news, and then Mike Florio. In
See
about
if I can keep my
35
streak going.
minutes. Maybe Mike would like to be involved with 2 lives on a Florida guy, but we won't.
Or
His
get on
time
the
is
time
valuable.
machine with
We'll
us.
be right back on a PRP on a Watchdog.
West Virginia Metro News. I'm Chris Lawrence. Kanawha County Sheriff's deputies say a child is recovering after he was hit by a vehicle while waiting on the school bus this morning near St. Albans. A witness, plus the driver, and a nearby doorbell video confirmed the 9-year-old boy was lying in the roadway playing when the driver turned the corner onto the street and didn't see him. The car ran over the youngster's leg. Now, deputies say the driver realized something had happened and stopped. And when he did see what had happened, he called 911 and rendered aid to the boy until authorities arrived. The boy is being treated at a local hospital. The driver faces no charges. A student at Martinsburg's Spring Mills High School is organizing a student walkout for next week in support of gun control. The event, being set for April 20th, and 9th grader Clarity Crabtree is reportedly encouraging classmates to leave school at noon. She's asked them to also carry signs to stand up and attempt to create change within the community and nation. April 20th is significant since it's the anniversary of the Columbine High School shooting. Administrators say Crabtree will not face disciplinary action over the event. It's one of a number of walkouts being organized across the country in the wake of school shootings. Still no sign of a missing police canine in South Charleston. Officers from multiple departments spent much of Wednesday looking for the missing dog, a Belgian Malinois that belongs to the Chapmanville Police Department. The handler lives in South Charleston and turned the dog named Chase into his backyard for a few moments before heading off to work. The dog jumped the fence and hasn't been seen since. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. WVU student Azim Khan is being honored for his leadership in public service. Khan was recently named a Truman Scholar and says his dedication to his community has gone a long way.
understate the importance of doing the little things, doing hard work, and really just every single day trying to win the day by, giving it your all.
He's the 26th WVU student to receive the award since its inception. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Hi, it's Howard Monroe. When your alarm clock goes off, make sure the Watchdog Morning Show goes on. Bob Slider and I are here every weekday from 7 to 10. We give you all the morning news and information you need. News, sports, weather, and great conversation. We'll talk about the issues of the day. We'll talk a little nostalgia. We'll have some great interviews. We'll take your calls and your texts. So grab a cup of coffee or whatever your favorite morning breakfast drink is, and come around the radio or on the internet at watchdognetwork.com and listen to the Watchdog Morning Show, weekdays from 7 to 10, right here.
Miami, South Beach, bringing the heat, Can y'all feel that?
All right, welcome back in PRP. Not in Miami, but we're in Wheeling right now. So.
It feels like Miami right now.
I know. It's comparable.
We need a little more humidity.
Miami in August is what it feels like out there. Yeah, no, we don't have the humidity yet, knock on wood. So hope everybody's having a good day. Hope Howard gets well. I didn't know that about him going to these restaurants. We got to keep an eye on that. So.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And hopefully he's not suffering from petechial hemorrhaging or anything. But,
yeah.
Get well soon, Howard. We'll be holding it down for you, although we don't do the morning show. So who's been filling in for him, Coach?
Yeah, they've been just doing national
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. He's irreplaceable. Well, what can we say?
He is. Yeah.
All right, I think it's time for
Two Lies and a Florida Guy. Here we go again. As always, not a real police car. Don't pull over your car. You can check in the mirror if you want to, but yeah.
Don't sue us.
Don't sue us. It's time for Two Lies and a Florida Guy.
You better buckle your bootstraps and get to running, because you got the law on your tail, boy. We're as South gets, and it's time for Two Lies and a Florida Guy. Yeehaw!
As always, this segment is brought to you by Frizzy Customs Computer and Electronics. Whether it's repair, upgrade, or a new project, head over to the tech gurus at Frizzy Customs Computer and Electronics. Derek Frizzy and his crew specialize in computer and technical hardware and can repair anything from your phone to your computer to your gaming system. If there's anything from a cracked screen to any other issues, no problem. You can head over to Frizzy Customs Computer and Electronics. That is at 319 Crescent Street, Bel Air, Ohio, on weekdays from 9 to 5. Or give them a call at 740-671-8814. For any of your hardware and software needs, visit Frizzy Customs Computer and Electronics. Without further ado, let's jump right into Two Lies and a Florida Guy. Number one, Florida man heats his pool with stolen copper wire, resuscitated after electrocuting himself to death. On Friday, Pradeep Hassan, age 43, was brought back to life by a Volusia County paramedic team after he was electrocuted with nearly 26,000 volts while attempting to heat his pool with copper wire stolen from Madden's Ace Hardware in Daytona Beach. According to the VCPD, Hassan had stolen over 40 yards of copper wire from Madden's Ace Hardware before arriving at his Volusia County home the same day. In the following week, it had been determined that Hassan had haphazardly wrapped the copper wire in a standard electrical tape before hardwiring the lengthy spool to his home circuitry before testing his invention while in his pool. Electricity immediately melted the electrical tape, and within seconds, Hassan was electrocuted, only saved by his cousin and son, who alerted police and paramedics. He was resuscitated on the scene and then later arrested for petty theft. He was released on a $750 bond. Next, Florida woman by the name of Crystal Metheny arrested in Polk County, but not on drug charges. The state that has produced infamous criminals, suspects, including Edward Cocaine and Brittany Boozle, can now add another one of the Mount Rushmore of Florida names, Crystal Metheny. According to the records from the Polk County Sheriff's Office, Metheny was arrested on Cinco de Mayo for violating a statute that prohibits the firing of missiles. Specifically, Metheny is accused of firing an offensive missile, in quotes, into an open vehicle. It appears that when the 36-year-old allegedly fired the missile, the vehicle was occupied. The suspect was released the following day and posted on a $5,000 bond. Although the incident was not drug-related, records indicate that Metheny was arrested in 2012 on a marijuana possession charge. And then finally, Florida woman marries giant forest hog, claims it was her soulmate in a previous life. In 2014, a Florida woman married who she claims was her soulmate in her previous life, a 645-pound wild forest hog named Robbie. Orly Esmer was wed to her soulmate Robbie after claiming during a visit to a local farmer's market animal show she sensed a special connection with a specific wild forest hog who, before his purchase, was headed to slaughter.
This happened in West Virginia.
She claimed she instantly fell in love with him and knew she had known him in another life, simply by the way, quote, he looked at her. Although they are not legally married, Esmer says that she even got down on one knee when proposing to Robbie. She says, I got down on one knee and proposed, and I could tell by the way his tail was wagging that he said yes. According to Esmer, she, quote, dreamed of a perfect wedding dress since I was small and made it myself for the ceremony. After the wedding, she was quoted saying, I couldn't think of anything more I'd need from a life partner. No quote was taken from Robbie.
Boy,
there you go.
Listen, we've had a lot of stories. That might be the weirdest
Robbie
one.
might take the cake.
That might be the weirdest one.
These
ever.
three might be the most obscure we've ever had.
Well, that last one.
Yeah, I mean, Crystal Metheny.
So we have Florida woman by the name of Crystal Metheny arrested in Polk County, but not on drug charges. Florida man heats pool with stolen copper wire,
What was his
resuscitated
name?
after electrocuting himself to death. Pradeep Hassan.
Pradeep.
Pradeep. Florida woman marries giant forest hog, claims it was her soulmate in her previous life.
Can't be real.
Oh man,
I
that's
tell
the
you,
most bizarre one
I feel
we've
sorry
had.
for law enforcement in Florida if any of these three are true. Although the copper wire stuff, I mean, people do that a lot. I've seen things like that. But then Crystal Metheny seems so fake it has to be real.
That's what I was thinking.
But how do you spell Crystal? How does Metheny?
Crystal
like
Metheny. Crystal Metheny is spelled Crystal, Crystal. Metheny, Metheny.
So like Mike Metheny.
Yeah.
Crystal Metheny.
Mike
All right.
Oh boy.
So she could be Crystal Metheny. But
I
like the Metheny.
I love Esmer. She knew that Robbie said yes when he wagged his tail.
No possible way that Robbie's real.
645-pound forest hog.
Wild forest hog.
That's a big hog.
I bet he'd be fun to lay next to. Oh boy.
I'm going with Crystal Metheny.
Okay. One for Crystal Metheny.
I'm going to try to stretch my streak to
I
three.
too will be going with Crystal Metheny.
Crystal
I was going to
Metheny
go with
for
copper
two.
wire, dude, but Crystal Metheny's got to be. There's no way.
Jared's got to go with the
too
hog.
obviously
I think
fake to
Jared's
be-
going with the hog.
Just because it's so ridiculous, and just because I'm
going
gonna
with
go,
Robbie?
I'm gonna go with Robbie the hog.
All right.
Even though 600 pounds seems really big.
I don't think those things are that
Wow,
size.
yeah.
All right. So
you think that's the weirdest
That's
part
the
of it?
weirdest
The 645.
Oh yeah, the warthog's a little overweight.
That's
was
the
most-
weirdest part of the whole thing, that he weighed 645. Not that she saw love in his eyes or
that's
it was his soulmates
from another life. Yeah.
He's a little large.
He said, boy, that's really weird. A
The forest hog.
645-pound forest
Brad
hog.
Becca better get down there and get
Lord
that
of
belly off
heaven.
that forest hog.
Jesus.
All right,
All right, so we
weird.
got two on Crystal Metheny, and then Jared is on Robbie the hog.
Esmer.
And the answer is Crystal Metheny.
Yeah.
Crystal Metheny.
I'm 3 in a row.
And those other names in there that were, let me see if I can find them, Edward Cocaine and Brittany Boozle, those are real people, too. Those are actual
I
people that
believe
have been
that.
arrested.
I'm three in a
Brittany
row.
Boozle.
Yeah, so Crystal Metheny. She
All
was
right,
arrested
Coach,
for
man,
firing a
red
missile.
hot.
I'm 3 in a row. Yeah, you're back in the win column.
Yeah.
Fun fact, though, the hog story, there was actually a woman in the UK who married a dog who I took a couple quotes from in here, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Man, I was really hoping that was true.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, sorry, Robbie.
Robbie the hog.
Love still awaits you. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that
all
was
right.
2 lies in a Florida
Just
guy.
about the time you think you've heard it all.
Well, yeah, and then we're going to go to news, and you'll be scratching your head about
Well,
this
that's
stuff,
true, too. Yeah.
All right, time for the news, Job.
I think it's time for the news, yeah.
All right.
All right, what do you want to, yeah, you take it, Matt.
Well,
You
I'll go ahead and start us off with everybody's favorite president right now, or he's our only president. So I'll still call him President Biden. I know some people refuse to do that, but it's out of respect. So, security questions after Biden's Belfast visit plan found in the street. Now, this is remarkable to me. Top secret document containing the itinerary and protective details of President Biden's trip to Belfast was found in the street on Tuesday. A passerby discovered the document, which detailed the phone numbers of Secret Service agents as well as the location where the president was staying while in Northern Ireland. Like, this is really dangerous. An investigation is underway to determine how the document ended up in the street and if anyone is deliberately involved. I mean,
that's wild.
This reminded me of Mike Leach's Lost OU play script. This reminds me like President Biden was like, "Hey, let's do this."
Do you think he came up with that?
No, but I mean,
I kind of think that too, Job. I thought maybe it was like a plant, just to have some fun with people. I hope so.
How could it have possibly get it blown out a window or maybe fell out of a briefcase?
Some guy's jacket pocket. Like I don't.
Well, it fell out of his pocket and rolled down the street.
When he tripped over the curb, probably.
Belfast, obviously, with a history of having a lot of violence in the city, so a dangerous area anyway. So yeah. Well, it looks like he survived it, so that's good. But, yeah, be careful out there, Secret Service.
Yeah.
All right.
Some
more
rough
disturbing
stuff.
news.
Probably the most disturbing we've had probably on here other than, some other things we don't need to talk about. But disturbing video appears to show Russian soldier beheading Ukrainian POW. A horrifying video emerged Tuesday showing what appears to be a Russian soldier savagely beheading a Ukrainian prisoner with a large knife. The outrage that followed led to Kyiv comparing the Putin regime to ISIS, which, if you're not familiar, back when ISIS was more prevalent, they would send out videos of them beheading, people of the press and people that they found that they didn't like.
One of them was
there.
an American guy.
Yeah. The executioner's comrades are heard cheering him on in the background throughout. President Zelensky is demanding the murderers be brought to justice, and he said there is something that no one in the world can ignore: how easily these beasts kill. We will not forget. The Pentagon is currently attempting to verify the authenticity of the video. Now, I don't know what that final point means. I mean, what's the...
Chubb, I was curious to see, do you think, I mean, you know how it is right now with these deep faking things available to people. It's remarkable what they can do. I've read a few things that said maybe that someone did this as a fake to try to drum up more, anger and hostility, but I don't know. I mean,
if it's true, then
it's just
it's
barbaric
horrible.
as it gets.
Absolutely horrible. I mean, that whole war over there, we kind of forget that it's going on right now. And I see videos and stuff on Reddit and other different things, and it's nuts that's going on right now.
Well, one thing's for sure, this will probably be banned on the Russian radio.
We're two for two.
They're going to be coming for us here. We got to stop talking about them.
I know. Jarrett, you like shoes?
Yeah,
this is perfect.
Yeah, well, had a little brighter news. Michael Jordan's final sneakers sell for $2.2 million. Michael Jordan's Game 2 worn Air Jordan 13s from the 1998 NBA Finals have sold for $2.2 million to an undisclosed buyer. Jordan scored 37 points versus the Jazz in that game, and he gave the sneakers away afterward to a Utah Jazz ball boy who reportedly helped him find his missing jacket. Last September, MJ's 1998 Finals Game 1 jersey sold for $10.1 million at Sotheby's auction house, making it the highest sale price ever for a Jordan collectible. So crazy.
Do you think Cooley would rather pay for those or the Van Gogh painting?
Probably those, just because it's basketball. But I mean, I think those have less value in them than
me too.
A painting.
I mean, what are you going to do with them unless you're Michael Jordan's style?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I guess
I
it'd
do
be
like
kind of
those
cool to
shoes,
have
though.
them in there.
But I mean, it's not like he made them, or it's not like he
wore them.
just
He
had them
literally
on
wore
his
those
feet.
shoes. I heard him say he wears those like one game. He
Yeah.
wears them once and they're done with.
It's like guys in the MLB, like they use they don't have like a bat or a certain whatever they use. They just keep cycling through stuff. I don't think that should be near as much money as it's worth.
I do think it was cool that he gave it to that kid, though.
Yeah, that is cool.
Neat.
They're good looking shoes.
Oh, they are.
They're really good.
Those
I actually had a
early
pair of
Jordans
those
were
13.
fantastic.
Yeah, all the way up to about the 13, 14s are all really good shoes. I actually have a pair of those in cleats.
Speaking of MLB, Job, wow, we talked. We've talked before about when they had the dollar beer night.
Remember in Disco Demolition?
Demolition, dollar beer night. Well, in Philly last night, the great city of Philadelphia. You never know what's going to happen.
They never disappoint, do
you
they?
never know what's going to happen there. I was just reading some stuff. That's what I was doing. I was reading some stuff on it.
Should we have a new segment, Two Lies and a Philly Guy?
Oh man,
it's possible.
You could definitely do that. So anybody doesn't know about was this last night, Matt?
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, the Phillies have an annual dollar hot dog night. I think they have. I just read there's 2 more scheduled. I bet those are going to get next. They're going to go up to about.
It's like puck night at the Flyer games.
Right. It's going to be like $12 a hot dog now instead of a dollar. But the fans, after they bought their dollar hot dogs, and then they were mad about standing in line forever, and the Phillies are off to a really bad start after being projected to be one of the best teams in the league. They're off to a 4-7 start. They were disgusted with their weight and the team's performance on the field and began using the hot dogs as weapons. 58,000 hot dogs were sold during the game and could be seen flying through the upper deck throughout the night. And the Phillies fell to 4-7. But
They lost again yesterday too.
Yeah, and I was watching some highlights of it. It was really incredible.
I also saw that this happened. It started because a kid was having a hot dog eating contest in the section. So he had like 13 hot dogs, and then people wanted him to keep going, so they were throwing hot dogs at him.
Oh, and that's all it takes is one.
Then
and
everybody
then they think
was
it's a food fight.
They said, this guy says, so they started throwing hot dogs to him. The guard came over and started yelling, and then it just went nuts.
I think
they said.
Anti-American to waste a good hot dog.
That's what I was thinking. You're hungry, a couple good dogs and a beer. But
how many hot dogs do you think you could eat? Like, if you hadn't eaten all day and you had 17 beers, how many?
I could eat a lot.
Yeah, a lot. If they're good hot dogs, they're like
not
really.
Bar S.
Now you're just talking about a hot dog, or they're gonna be on a bun.
On a bun.
Like Kobayashi style?
Okay. Probably
Jerry
6 or 7 solid.
Yeah,
6 or 7. What do you think you could do?
A dozen?
Yeah, I think I could do some good
if you're
damage.
really hungry.
If anybody out there has done that challenge where you saw eat as many hot dogs as you possibly could, let us know. I'd love to know.
304-214-1600.
I'd love to know the number of hot dogs maybe in the valley. What's the record?
I still want to know when we're going to have the Pine Room eating contest.
I know. What
Nick,
what were
wings and hot dogs? I mean,
it was
nuggets.
like McDonald's nuggets.
Oh, that challenge, the one that Matt Stoney did for practicing for the competitive eating.
Yes.
It was like 20-piece nuggets and all these sandwiches and giant Cokes and large fries. And
oh man, that's
who would win an eating contest in the Pine Room?
Speed or
Speed.
do a job.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, a burger just wouldn't even be close.
Yeah, job for speed for sure.
Speaking
for
of volume,
volume, I give it to Say.
Well, now let's go to the reverse side of this. You, Nick, and Say. You don't have to reveal anybody's weight, but how's the weight loss challenge when you guys got your
good? Yeah, this
side
week
bet?
Easter hurt me a lot because I just kept eating on Sunday, and I kept eating and eating and eating, and then when I went to bed on Sunday, I felt sick.
The good news for you is I'm going to guess that Say and Nick ate too.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think you're behind.
I just this week, we're going good. I'm on track. I got to keep hoping that my way in tomorrow is good. But yeah,
you had one particular contestant in that contest that it is actually gaining weight instead of losing.
And it wasn't Robbie the Warthog either.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a tough thing. A weight loss challenge is actually a tough thing. It's like you keep on track for a little while, and then as it goes on, it kind of loses its luster, and it's like, oh, I got to do this again this week. But But speaking of MLB, this is good for you guys. My MLB teams extend alcohol sales. The Milwaukee Brewers and the Arizona Diamondbacks become the first 2 MLB teams to extend beer sales until the 8th inning of of home games. So you got one extra inning. Is it one extra inning?
Yeah.
The changes were made after the unintended consequences of the new MLB pace of play rules saw game times drop by an average of 25 minutes. Beer sales reduced as a result. The Brewers said that because the games are quicker, extending sales one more inning will allow them to sell approximately the same amount of ice-cold beer that they did last season. Here's my problem with this. It's all about money. So they shrink the game time. Now they think, okay, well, let's how can we make more money, and let's just sell more beer for another extra inning.
Get the people drunker.
Yeah,
right?
let's send
if I was at the game, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, you're
but it's
right,
like,
though. You're
why
right.
wouldn't they? Like, why shouldn't they have just done it back when the games were longer? Just make it it. But I don't know, because you need more money.
Well, Matt Strahm, pitcher for the Phillies, actually had something to say about this. He was actually pretty upset about, I mean, they stopped it in the 7th inning to sober people up to get home safe, and then they extended an inning, and he was pretty mad that they did that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's be smart.
Back in the day, like if they stopped that like in the 7th inning and then the game went like 12 innings.
We've been to those games.
Oh, that
It
was
horrible.
awful when you couldn't
like
get
that
a beer.
West Liberty bus trip.
Oh,
19 innings.
that was
couldn't find
I still have
people.
nightmares
It
about
was
that.
horrible. It was the worst
That was
experience
awful.
ever.
Yeah, I think a game went how long?
19 innings.
19 innings, and a couple of the guys stayed for all 19 innings.
And we couldn't leave without them.
A couple of guys stayed for all 19 innings. We were in the bus by like the 10th inning, and there were guys that stayed for 19 innings.
And it wasn't like the Pirates were good then either. I think they lost like 4-3 to the Padres.
And they came out on the bus and said, "Man, that was great. We got 2
game.
games for the price of 1."
Oh, my
and everybody
gosh.
else wasn't even speaking to them.
They get home until 4 in the
Oh,
morning.
that was
That's
awful.
horrible.
A couple. I think 3 more teams added to this today. I saw. So, shout out to them.
Matt, talking about money, what are these South Koreans doing?
Well, I don't know. This was interesting to me. South Korean pharmaceutical company announced a $100 million Morgantown investment. So, Governor Jim Justice announced Wednesday that the UND Bio, a South Korean pharmaceutical company that provides diabetic care solutions, has secured a lease with WVU, that's West Virginia University, to build an insulin manufacturing facility in Morgantown. The company will create 200 jobs within the first 3 years and will invest $100 million in phase 1 of the project. UND Bio is looking to develop a state-of-the-art insulin in West Virginia that will help save lives. So I have 2 schools of thought on this. One, it's probably good because our state's very unhealthy, so we probably need this. But the only thing that worries me about this is we have an opioid crisis in this country, and by letting a country, or actually a company from a country in Asia, which is a mass producer of these opioids, it worries me that maybe they will then turn this into a pill mill as well. So I don't know that, though. I don't know enough specifics about it, but I thought it was very interesting that happened. So, and I thought it was also interesting that back during COVID, I remember Justice was buying masks from South Korea and stuff, and testing kits and stuff from South Korea. So he may have a little scratch my back, I'll scratch yours in mind.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Governor Justice was recently, I was scrolling through TikTok just randomly, and he popped up on my TikTok. He was going viral because of some of the stuff he said. And,
he's a character.
I think he lifted Baby Dog up in like
with their butt up in the air.
Yeah. But
Coach, what do they say about are they Jim Justice fans on the morning show and so forth on this
Yeah, I
network?
think so. Howard likes him. Howard has he goes on Hoppy's show all the time, and they talk about Justice. Yeah, but I think Howard likes Howard. I believe did not like Jim Justice at first, but he's really grown on him, and he thinks he's really trying to work hard for the state of West Virginia.
I think he's
genuine. He's a genuine guy. He just
so.
doesn't handle his finances very well. Obviously, I don't know what.
Governor, we need some patchwork up here. Help us out. Everybody
going on?
blames you. If it's not Trump, it's your fault.
Yeah, but I like Justice. I think he's a good guy.
Yeah,
I think
he's brought some character, gets us noticed a little bit, which is, I guess, is a good thing.
Yeah, it really does.
Hey, while we're since we got a couple minutes left,
Sure.
I brought some documents back from the time machine.
Oh.
I wanted
Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yeah. So movies released today in history. A lot of movies released today in history. We had in 20.
Do you think that's normally because it'd be like Good Friday?
That's
of the
what I
Easter
thought.
Season?
That's what I thought.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Father Stew in 2022. That's with Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson.
Not bad.
Guava Island, that was with Donald Glover and Rihanna. Truth or Dare, a horror thriller starring Lucy Hale and Tyler Posey. Rampage, an action sci-fi starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Overboard, a rom-com starring Eugenio Derbez and Anna Faris. Marrowbone. I'm just going to read these off. Crystal, The Three Stooges, The Cabin in the Woods, Detention, Touchback, Disturbia, and Bridget Jones' Diary.
Disturbia, good one.
And then I'm going to read our three winners here, the top three on this list. So if you're looking to go watch some movies, there's a movie that I didn't list, Indian Horse. It's a drama starring Ajawak Kapashesit. It's 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've never seen it nor heard of it before. Then The Cabin in the Woods. It's a really good movie if you're into horror comedies, starring Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Richard Jenkins, who is the dad in Step Brothers, and Sigourney Weaver. That's got a 92% of Rotten Tomatoes.
When did that release?
That was in 2012.
Okay.
And then in 2001, Bridget Jones' Diary. That's a rom-com starring Renee Zellweger, Colin Firth, and Hugh Grant. 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. So those are three: Indian Horse, The Cabin in the Woods, and Bridget Jones' Diary. Go watch them if you need a movie to watch. And then the three stinkers of the week. We've got Overboard. That was at number 3. 23% on Rotten Tomatoes with Anna Faris and Eugenio Derbez. Truth or Dare coming in with a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. Lucy Hull and Tyler Posey. And then Crystal was number 1, the worst. 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, starring William H. Macy from Shameless and Rosario Dawson, who's in the new Ahsoka. Yeah,
I thought Overboard was with Kurt Russell and.
That's the original.
Oh, it was a remake.
Oh,
so it's probably sucked because of that.
Gee, I didn't think that movie was bad. I thought that was actually pretty entertaining.
I guess the new one's
the remake
terrible.
must not be.
Yeah,
most of the time the remakes aren't.
You're right.
Very few.
Yeah.
But
so good. Good. What about birthdays, Job? We didn't.
Oh yeah, we didn't really have time to get through birthdays.
We got a minute.
Thomas Jefferson's birthday.
I guess we'll go out. We'll go out to the birthday tune.
Send us
Then
off
we'll
with
go
the
out in the
birthday.
birthday tune. Let me get it up real quick. We'll go out to this. Here we go. Who we had on the list?
Ron Perlman, 72. Ricky Schroeder, 53. Bokeem Woodbine, 49. Lou Bega, 48. Kelly Geddes is 43. Allison Williams, 35. And deceased birthdays, Paul Sorvino, great mobster, and Thomas Jefferson, our third president.
Anybody
Happy
out there has a birthday,
PJ.
happy birthday to you.
Yeah, from
Call
the
in and we'll sing to you. Happy birthday.
All right, time for a break. We're going to be back in this very exciting hour for the PRP guys as we talk to Pro Football Focus and NBC Sports Mike Florio. Going to be really cool. I'm actually pretty excited about this. We'll be back with Mike after the break here on the PRP on the Watchdog.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. We're learning more about the leaked classified documents. Sources tell ABC News authorities have identified a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard as a person of interest in that investigation into the documents leaked over the Discord social media platform in recent months. ABC's Louis Martinez is at the Pentagon.
Now, the New York Times has named this individual, this Air National Guardsman. ABC News is not identifying him at this time, but has reached out to family members for comment. We have also reached out to the National Guard Bureau. They have issued a statement to ABC News where they confirm that they are aware of the information of these reports out there in the press right now. And they also say that they understand that the National Guard takes this issue very seriously and will support investigators.
In Manhattan, former President Trump sitting for a second deposition in a New York civil fraud lawsuit that accuses his family business of inflating values for real estate dealings. ABC's Aaron Katursky is in Manhattan and says that instead of taking the fifth, Trump is looking to tell his side.
His attorney, Alina Habba, issued a statement as the deposition got underway, saying that the former president was anxious to answer questions and explained to the attorney general how successful his multi-billion-dollar business has been. And so it appears that he is prepared to answer at least some of the questions as part of this $250 million civil lawsuit.
Jury selection underway in Delaware in the Dominion defamation case against Fox News. Dominion claiming that Fox falsely claimed election fraud caused by Dominion voting machines in the 2020 presidential election. The airport in Fort Lauderdale, flooded yesterday, remains closed until at least tomorrow. Weather experts calling it a 1,000-year storm. More than 2 feet of rain fell in a 24-hour period and caused major flooding throughout the city. You're listening to ABC News.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
According to transcripts from the latest Fed meeting, officials say the U.S. could enter a, quote, mild recession later this year. Traveling with the president in Ireland, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about those recession fears.
Recent economic indicators are not consistent with a recession or even a pre-recession. And you can just look at the data. 12.5 million jobs have been created since he took office. 12.5 million jobs.
According to those transcripts, economists say a recovery will take place over the next 2 years following a possible recession later this year. Forensics experts have made what they call a scientific breakthrough in the investigation of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre.
It's thought that hundreds of people were killed when armed mobs ravaged a once prosperous section of Tulsa known as Black Wall Street. A century later, 22 sets of remains of potential victims have been exhumed. 6 have possible surnames. Now,
look at your own family tree.
Forensic investigator Allison Wild.
Do I have those surnames? Do I have these locations in my own family tree?
The City of Tulsa website has a list of possible surnames associated with the exhumed remains. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Major League Baseball's new pitch clock is not the only change baseball fans will encounter this season. Games are about 30 minutes shorter, which means less time to sell beer. In the past, most teams cut off alcohol after the 7th inning. Now, at least 4 teams are moving the deadline to the 8th inning. This is ABC News.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility. Businesses of all types can qualify, so go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Download the Innovation Refunds app or go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
I'm Kate Burdett on the Ohio News Network. A federal appeals court has blocked a ruling from a Texas judge that suspended use of an abortion pill widely used in Ohio. Amy Steigerwald with ONN affiliate WBNS-TV in Columbus has more.
According to statistics from the Ohio Department of Health, mifepristone was used almost 10,000 times for non-surgical abortions, and those statistics are from 2021. Now, the basis of this new ruling is that the abortion pill mifepristone will remain available in the U.S. with restrictions in place, and those restrictions include requirements for in-person doctor visits and limiting the pill to only the first 7 weeks of pregnancy. The abortion pill will no longer be available by mail. Amy Steigerwald in downtown Columbus.
The 8 Akron police officers who fatally shot Jayland Walker will not testify before a grand jury. Walker was unarmed when he was killed last June after being shot dozens of times. A final ruling from the grand jury on whether those officers will face criminal charges is expected Monday or Tuesday. And Ohio State's spring game is Saturday, and the quarterback competition that fans were hoping for won't happen because quarterback Devin Brown has injured his throwing hand. OSU head coach Ryan Day says it's not serious.
We'll miss a couple practices here. I'll be right back at it, so it's more of a setback than anything else.
Quarterback duties will mainly be handled on Saturday by Kyle McCord and transfer quarterback Tristan Gebbia. I'm Kate Burdett on the Ohio News Network.
More live and local programming than anyone else in the Ohio Valley. The Watchdog returns in moments.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
My friends, baseball is back, and the push for the postseason is on for hockey and hoops. Make it all count this spring with Superbook Sports. Superbook Sports is the best wagering app around with a direct line to experienced bookmakers behind the counter in Las Vegas. Plus, get a $250 bonus when you sign up, deposit, and wager in the same day. Don't let spring pass you by without winning money with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly sunny skies, a daytime high near 82, 52 for the overnight low under partly cloudy skies. Plenty of sunshine around for your Friday with highs in the low 80s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
All right, welcome back into the PRP on the Watchdog. We are pleased to be joined by the creator of Pro Football Talk. You know him well from NBC Sports. He does an amazing job. Pro Football Talk live host. You can see him along with Chris Sims on NBC and Peacock across all the NBC affiliates. Mike FLORIO joins the show. Mike, thank you so much for joining us here on the PRP on the Watchdog. Thank you.
Hey, great to be with you guys. How are you today?
We're doing pretty well. Tell us, you're a Wheeling guy, so this is pretty cool. We love to just kind of pick your brain. Before we get into talking about the NFL and your really cool book, Father of Mine, that's coming out here shortly, just tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up here in Wheeling and just some of your favorite memories about living in the Ohio Valley as a youngster.
Well, I grew up on Haddell Avenue, which runs parallel to the creek on the other side of the Wheeling Jesuit University campus. It was just Wheeling College back in those days. And, it's funny. I reminisce about it all the time. I get up there whenever I can, even though it's only 100 miles away. There aren't many opportunities to come up there. And, frankly, recently the occasions that come up involve somebody that I know passing away, usually the parent of a friend. But it was a far different time. It was back in the days when kids actually left the house and the parents didn't know specifically where they were. There was no GPS tracker embedded under our skin. We were indeed allowed to be outside unsupervised. And I'm not saying it's wrong today. It was just different back then. You'd run around all day. You'd come back for lunch. You'd run around again. You'd come back for dinner. You'd run around again until it was dark and it was time to go home or until you heard your mother yelling for you. So, it was fun. It was a fun time. It was a fun era. And, I live in a town now that's a lot like Wheeling. It's just another spot in West Virginia in Bridgeport. But, they say there's no place like home. And I still, like I said, love coming up whenever I can.
Hey, Mike, this is Mark. I've been the one that's been in touch with you a little bit here, texting. I'm good friends with a couple of your very good friends, guys you grew up with, the Payne brothers. They wanted me to add, I said, anything interesting that you have to say to Mike or could tell me? And they said your mother, Marge, had a covering on the couches and the chairs so none of the Rugrats would stain the furniture. Is that a true story?
Like so many Italian mothers in that era and presumably still today, the house was kept hermetically sealed in the event that the folks would show up for a visit. And the couch did have a plastic covering on it. The chair didn't, but the couch had a plastic covering. Now, at some point, she became a little more progressive, and she went with just a bed sheet to protect the couch because you must never sit on the actual couch material because if you do, then it becomes dirty and eventually becomes ruined. But we also had a rule, no shoes on if you come through the front door, and nobody ever came through the front door. But if you did, there was like a plastic landing strip that went diagonal from the front door to the couch. So you would walk only on the plastic, not on the carpet, to the couch, sit on the plastic. So you would always be completely and totally ensconced in plastic from the moment you arrived until the moment you left. That was the rule, and it was subject to not quite the death penalty, but close to it if you violated it.
So these guys that you grew up with back in the day, they're still pretty good buddies with you. tell me some really fun stories about the. I want to get into a couple more when we talk about Paul Hankish and some of the other things that went on. But you still stay in touch with these guys. You went to St. Michael's in Wheeling Central, correct?
Yeah, first of all, that name you mentioned, I'm not familiar with at all. I've never heard it before in my life. I don't know who you're talking about. So
Who, Terry Payne or Paul Hankish?
I don't know who. I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's
we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
But, there's a group of us that keep in touch via text message, and it's funny. The world has changed so much in recent years. The neighborhood I grew up in, my mom she'd grab a tumbler full of wine and 7-Up, and she would just make her rounds to each neighbor's house every night. And everybody got along. There was no political division. Nobody even talked about that stuff. It was about family. It was about friends. It was about things happening in the neighborhood. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there was some catty, petty stuff like, can you believe what this person wore to this event or whatever it was. But, she'd be gone for a couple of hours just going door to door. And we don't have those connections anymore with our neighbors. That's just the way the world is. But we're all carrying around this little device that allows us to have real-time communications with anyone we choose, anyone we've ever known. As long as we have their number and they have ours, we can send text messages and emojis and GIFs, and it's a great way to stay in touch with people. And there's 5 of us total that are on a thread, and we stay in touch all the time. Now, we don't see each other very much, but we stay in touch all the time. And, it's a great way to keep those connections together at a time when it feels like we're more disconnected than ever. This is one great way, and I'm sure everybody's got that story to tell. They've got that group of family members. They've got that group of childhood friends, people they went to school with, people they went to college with, people they work with, whatever. But those are great ways to keep in touch with people, and that's what we do. We stay in touch, and we always wish each other happy birthday, even though with each passing year, the numbers are getting closer and closer to who knows how many we got left. But, I think it's important to always, to the extent you have those roots from when you were a kid and you establish those relationships, if you can continue those, I think there's something important about being able to do that.
Yeah, they tell me that they stop down to your house occasionally. You guys have a really special time together. They cherish those moments. They tell me you guys really have a lot of fun when they stop down and you open up the doors to them.
Well, right, we have a lot of fun, but not everybody remembers it the next day.
Is that because they're getting old? Is that because they're getting old? No.
Trust me. What will happen is the last time we had a full day gathering, and there were 4 or 5 of us who got together. Everybody got here late afternoon, and I've got beer on tap, so we started drinking a little beer, and then we went out to lunch, and we had a couple of margaritas, and then when we got back here, and look, I can't remember who drove, but whoever it was within the legal limit by that point. But then when we got back, that's when it all went haywire. And by dinner time, I was almost in a position where I had to call the ambulance because we all were a little overserved, but one specifically was far more overserved than the rest. And I will not mention Terry's name.
I think he's listening, so he probably just he probably scowled at that. So anyway, those are special memories. And we really appreciate you being with us. To walk us a little bit, Mike, through how this progressed from your childhood and then high school and college and then on to get a law degree to where you are now, just to bring the people that are listening up to speed on how you achieved where you are now.
Well, I'd like to say that what I'm doing now is the result of some grand plan that I sat down and concocted at some point, and I'm gonna climb this hill one step at a time, and I'm gonna get to the top, and I'm gonna plant the flag and be able to say, all right. But so much of your life just unfolds randomly, and you follow your heart, you follow your passions, you do things you like to do, and this is something I try to tell people all the time. You got one chance at this thing. Find the things you like to do, and hopefully you have some aptitude at it. It's kind of hard to do something and really like it and not be good at it, which is one of the reasons why I don't golf. But it just kind of happened. It just kind of unfolded, and the big thing for me, because I was practicing law, and the internet rolled around, and I left the firm that I was working for down here in the Clarksburg area, Steptoe and Johnston. They still have an office up in Wheeling. They got offices all over the place now. But I started my own practice, and I kind of wanted to get into some other business. I just didn't know what. And I'd always been a fan of pro football. I grew up a Vikings fan in Steelers country, which was a mistake in the 70s. But I still had an intense interest in it just because the Vikings had such a rough decade, and I kept following it closely because it's like, hey, maybe one of these days they'll finally get their Super Bowl and not lose it. And it all kind of just fell together. And the great equalizer is the internet, which gives you the ability to have a voice anywhere you may be. You don't have to live in a big city. You don't have to live in any city. You don't have to live anywhere specifically. As long as you have an internet connection, you can do whatever you want to do. And that's how it all got started 23 years ago, technically. And it just was one thing led to another, and it was kind of a slow-rolling snowball. And it was a hobby that started to generate a little money. And as it generated more money, it became less of a hobby, more of a job. And then there was a moment when NBC came calling in 2009, everything changed. And 14 years later, you know, it's like it's always been this way, but it hasn't. And I don't know how it happened. I didn't plan for it to happen. I didn't want it to happen. It just kind of happened, and you just kind of roll with it when it does.
Wow, that's awesome.
Really cool stuff.
That's a great story.
We're talking with Pro Football Talk's Mike FLORIO, Wheeling native. Mike, let's shift gears a little bit. You kind of set the tone for this, but want to get into your new book that's coming out. Father of Mine, set to release here in a couple of weeks, I believe. I think you can get pre-sale right now. Just tell us a little bit about that. People are going to see some names. Paul Hankish. I saw the Sportsman's Club in there.
No. All right, so here's the story. And you can pre-order it now, and I would be very happy if everyone listening did. Who's interested in the book that is set in Wheeling, 1973. I was 8 years old at the time. And it's only $4.99. I've done this direct-to-consumer price to sell. I had a book last year through Hachette, which is one of the major publishers, and I've learned that, yeah, they give you a nice check on the front end, but they keep all the money after that. And so I'm trying to do it this way. I've got the platform I can use to sell it, and I've set it up so it would be a low price point, affordable for everyone. The ebook's $4.99. It's about 400 pages. It's a pretty good deal. There's nothing you can buy for $4.99. You can buy a blue check on Twitter for like 3 weeks. That's what you can get for $4.99 right now. So at least you get something tangible and meaningful with this. So my dad was one of Paul Hankish's bookies. I'll go ahead and use the name. He was one of his bookies. They were all over the area, and the activity was rampant then. And as best I can tell, it was rampant because it was pre-RICO. And when the RICO laws came along and they started to figure out in the bigger cities they could use RICO as a way to attack organized crime, that's when it all really started to fall apart, and those groups all started to become eradicated. Now, I assume there's still a presence in the bigger cities, and hell, for all I know, there's a presence in Wheeling. But if it is, it's not connected to, it's not the same as it was 50 years ago. I know that. But, you know, I was a kid. I'd go to my dad's bar. I'd see things. I'd hear things. As I got older and the Internet matured to the point where you could just search pretty much anything, I started to do some research about that group and how they got in trouble, when they got in trouble, what happened, what they allegedly did, what they allegedly didn't do, what was proven, what wasn't proven. And, during the pandemic when we weren't really going anywhere, and it all happened in March of 2020, but I was busy with free agency in the NFL, then busy with the draft. And once the dust settled on everything by June, it's like, what am I going to do for the rest of the summer? Like, it's not a normal time, and I needed a distraction because it was just like a weird existence for us all. So one night I just sat down and started typing, and one thing leads to another, one day leads to another, and after a couple of months I have a draft of this manuscript. It's like, well, this is kind of nice. What the hell am I going to do with it now? And just kept working on it, revising it, polishing it up, and got to a point where, all right, well, let's just do something with it and see what happens. So it's all fictional, the whole story. I mean, because you got to have a story that people give a crap about, or they're not going to read it. That's one thing that I've learned with fiction writing and reading. I learned to be a sports writer by reading things that sports writers had written, and I think I've learned to become a novelist by reading novels my whole life. You better have something on this page that makes people turn to the next page. And whatever's on the next page, better make them turn to the next page. And whatever's in this chapter, better set up the next one, and so on, or people are going to lose interest and they're going to be bored. And that's a horrible feeling when you feel like you're just like, oh, God, I hate this book, but I have to keep reading it because I have to read it for school or whatever. And it's such a great feeling, the flip side, when you're reading a book that is engrossing that is entertaining, that is holding your attention, that has a good story, that moves at a fast pace. So that's what I tried to do, and we'll see. We'll find out. Wherever it goes, whatever happens, happens. But it was a fun thing for me to do. And I've realized I've got the capacity to do this in my spare time. I'll do it a couple of hours a night. And, that's the first one, and there's 6 more coming, and who knows how many more after that. I figure if I write enough of them, accidentally one of them will be good. So the over-under is 20. So I figure if I can get to 20, chances are one will be good.
Well, from what we've read of what you sent us, it was really cool. I thought one of the quotes that was in there was really intriguing to me. My dad was a gambler. Once he realized the house always wins, he became a bookie. I found that to be very, very cool. And
it's 100% true.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
To my mom's credit, who wrapped all the furniture in plastic, she kept my dad from, and I have to watch my language, blowing every cent that he had, because he would have. It was a tenuous balance, and it's not like we had a lot of money, but we were always one bad weekend away from having nothing. He would have been at the craps table, and he just wouldn't have stopped.
Understood.
Yeah, well, hey, Mike, when you're talking about all these books you have plans for, and as a fellow creative, I enjoy creative writing in English and stuff. What's your process like writing? I mean, do you sit down? Do you draft? Do you just have any brainstorm sessions? What kind of process is it like when you sit down at night?
Well, I mean, first you have a general idea of what your story is going to be about, and what I've learned through repetition is that for the first 20,000 words or so, because, usually a novel lands somewhere between 60 and 120,000 words. But for the first 20,000 words, I just kind of meander. I let the story take me wherever it's going to take me. And it's kind of a neat feeling because it's like a Ouija board that works. Remember the Ouija? I don't know if you guys ever
yeah.
board, like the stupid gateway to the occult that we all thought really worked because we were subconsciously pushing it around on the board to have the spirits tell us things. But there's something about sitting there and getting into a groove where it feels like it's a Ouija board that works, where it just kind of flows, and I'm just a spectator to it, and the story just takes off on its own. That part of it's a ton of fun for me. And after the first 20,000 words or so, I sit down and I outline where it's going from there. Because you can't just meander forever. At some point, you got to be going somewhere. But based on whatever those first 20,000 words are, that kind of gives me the idea for where I take it from there. And then it becomes more mechanical. I've got one I'm working on now, finishing up, and the last 40 chapters have all been checking boxes as I push the story along. But I'm in that mode because for the first 40 chapters, it was just, let's go wherever we go with this. Let's see wherever this takes us. And, that's kind of how it all works out. But I don't know if it's right or wrong. Just like when I started PFT, it's all self-taught, and it's all based on reading. So I don't know if I'm doing it the right way. I don't know if I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm just doing it my own way. And that's another thing I always preach to people. Be who you are. Do things the way that work for you. If you try to do things the way that work for someone else, you just get frustrated and you give up.
Hey, Mike, in Father of Mine, is a lot of the, I know you said it's fictional, but is a lot of the information and the flow of the book, is that based on memories that you had of Wheeling, or things that you heard from other people that went on, in Wheeling, like at your dad's bar, at the Sportsman's Club, around Wheeling, or was it stuff that just popped into your head?
No, it's a combination, and we're all informed by our own experiences. And, yeah, there's a lot of memories I have of being a kid and being in that bar, going around the corner to the Sportsman's Club, which felt just like my dad's place, it never seemed to have more than 4 or 5 people in it at any one time. But when you go into the Sportsman's Club, it had that smell. That smell of like stale beer and cigarettes and oil, right? Like it was just like this weird, unique smell that you would only smell in certain bars, and it just was dark, and everyone was big, and I felt like I was walking through a forest, and those things are all memories, and different people that I met who would be hanging around Dad's bar, and you're a little kid. Regardless of what those folks did to each other, they're always nice to little kids. So there's a lot of different personalities and different aspects. Now, again, the characters are all fictional; they're all made up, but it's qualities and composites of the different people that I came across during those days where I'd I'd go down to Dad's bar. I mean, hell, I went to Wheeling Central. It's 2 blocks away from my dad's
Exactly.
bar. I'd go down there at lunchtime and, grab a Slim Jim or whatever else he had behind the counter and hang out with him a little bit and then go back to school.
What was your dad's bar's name, Mike? I'm just curious.
It's funny. It technically was called Butch's Place, but it never even had a sign.
Oh.
It's in the place that was Jimmy Gyro's restaurant up until a year or two ago, and I still kick myself for never going there while it was open at the bottom of the Rogers Hotel.
Okay.
That place was empty for decades, and then the Jimmy Gyro shop was in there, and my son and I were going to drive up one Saturday, and we didn't make it. And I kept saying, I want to go, and then the frickin' pandemic came, and he closed up at some point because I really wanted to go back in that space. You dream about things from your childhood. I dream about being in there from time to time, and it just would have been nice to go back there. Although it would have been emotional, but it's something I really wanted to do, and I regret that I didn't make it before that place shut down.
Hey, Mike, do you mind sticking around for another segment? We're going to take a quick break here, if that's okay.
That's fine with me.
All right, awesome. We'll be back with Mike Florio, get into some NFL and finish up about his book, Father of Mine. You're listening to the Pirate Podcast here on the Watchdog.
Jim Frio Promotions presents Spring Beatings 2023 at the former Moundsville Penitentiary. Up to 13 professional and amateur boxing matches with an American Boxing Federation Cruiserweight Championship fight. Saturday, April 22nd. Doors open at 5:30. First bell at 6:30. Come enjoy the excitement. Sponsored by FEX Recycling of Mingo Junction, Ohio, WVU Sports Medicine, Puppy Dogs, Island Pawn and Gun, Karen Bowers Distribution, and the Watchdog, WKKX WVLY.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Check out Toyota's wide range of all-wheel and four-wheel drive vehicles, like a sporty Camry or a stylish Corolla, both with great MPGs. Or come in and test drive a new RAV4, Highlander, or Corolla Cross, each with plenty of cargo room, so you can be ready for any adventure. Visit buyatoyota.com, the official website for deals. Hurry, offers end April 4th. Toyota, let's go places.
FLORIO Stack & Associates Auctioneers, Realtors, Certified Appraisers specializing in antiques, business liquidations, multi-parcel land auctions. FLORIO Stack & Associates is a regional business offering the executor, attorney, agent, and other individuals the most comprehensive and technologically advanced auction and appraisal services available. For information on our service, call our office at 304-233-3168 or email FLORIOAUC@AOL.com. FLORIO Stack & Associates sells the earth and everything on it.
All right, welcome back into the Pirate Podcast here in the Watchdog. We're talking with Pro Football Talks Mike Florio. Mike, we were talking about your books, your childhood in Wheeling. Tell our listeners, people out there that want to get a copy of this book, where's the best place to track it down? Are you going to have paperback, hardback? I know it's ebook right now, and I think Jubb just actually bought one of the books, so pretty cool.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's going to be ebook and paperback. I'm still working all that out. When you do it on your own, there's a lot of little details that you don't really think about, and you learn it one step at a time. But
right.
Yeah, not hardbound unless I mean, and who knows what happens. If it sells a ton and a publisher makes me an offer I can't refuse, right. Pun intended, then maybe we'll do something. But for now, I'm committed to keeping the price point low and making it available that way. But there's a way to do it where it's printed off. It's obviously a little more than $4.99 if that's the case, but we're moving in that direction.
Sure.
But anywhere you get ebooks, Amazon, Apple Books, wherever you down, I've got it set up everywhere that you could buy an ebook. You'll find it there. Just search the title of the book, search the name, and it'll pop up.
Yeah, Mike, I've been looking for stuff to read. I like to read, and I haven't done it in a while, and I was just sitting here listening to you talk about it, and I just whipped my phone out. It took me 2 seconds. So anybody that wants to get it, it'll take it just as that amount of time. So. Yeah. Awesome.
The beauty of Amazon.
Mike, why did you? Why is the N crooked in mine? Is there any significance to that?
Well, if you read the book, you'll find out. Everything on the cover has significance.
All right. Well, I haven't gotten that far yet, so that's good to know.
There you go.
I'll look forward to that. Now, then, one more thing, and then we're gonna shift gears a little bit. I find that time of our life, especially my life, because I graduated from Warwood High in 1975, and that was a really booming time in the city of Wheeling. I think that time, I was talking to Matt before we came on the air about how intriguing that time was. When did you realize as a kid that, what, besides a bar, what was going on, in the city, and your dad's bar and the Sportsman's? Who was some of the, important guys around town? When did you start realizing, they do more than sell beer?
When I got old enough to just start asking questions, and to their credit, they didn't lie to me because I was going to figure it out anyway. So I was maybe 8, 9 years old, probably about the time the book is set, 73 time frame. It started to make sense to me. And look, it introduces into the life of a child, which fortunately in those days we didn't have to worry about the kind of stuff that kids today have to worry about. But it introduces a new layer of stress into the life of an 8-year-old when you're worried that, they're going to come shut your dad's bar down and haul him off to jail. I didn't realize that they just kind of looked the other way on that stuff. Although eventually what happened in 1987 when they shut down everything and arrested Paul Hankish and everybody else, it all hit the fan. And I was 21 at the time and had to drive into Dad's bar and look through the little glass window and see the ATF agents in there. And that's something I'll never forget. But back in the early 70s, it just wasn't an issue. Back when it was rampant, I assume everyone was taken care of with the appropriate envelope once a week or once a month or whatever it was. And speaking of envelopes, I was with Terry a few weeks ago, and I think I was telling him this story. Like, my dad would send out, and it just shows you how different the world is now. Now you get on your phone, you press a button, you make a bet. Back in those days, you had to have the sheet with the lines on it.
Yes.
And every week, he would have a big stack of envelopes that he would mail to a who's who of the power players in Ohio County who were getting this sheet that had the lines on it. And if they wanted to call them up, they called them up and they made a bet. And I mean, it was lawyers, it was doctors, it was politicians, it was judges, it was everybody. It was everybody that he'd send this out to. So I remember tripping across that one day and flipping through the names. When you're a kid, there's certain names, the big people in town, and it's like, oh, well, I know that person, I know who that is, So, it's just something that I gradually learned more and more about once I realized that, they weren't just selling beer there. They were they had another service that was far more lucrative over the long
term. I was going to say quite profitable. I find that intriguing. Yeah, I used to I would go to the Club 17 in Warwood, and that's where I sort of became involved in the same kind of things. And I would run. We ran the spot sheets, which are not around anymore, at least not around here.
Oh, I remember those.
Oh yeah, I would deliver the spot sheets for the guys running Club 17. I'd get like a dime off of each sheet that I would, and that sort of piqued my interest into gambling, which I wish at this point now I wouldn't have gotten involved in.
Well, let me tell you this story, because I remember there was a time in the mid-'70s where there was talk that, and I can't remember who was running for governor. I don't know if it was Jay Rockefeller the first time in '76 or whatever, but there was a concern that they were going to legalize gambling in West Virginia. And I remember thinking, well, wait, this is good. I can quit worrying about Dad getting arrested. I didn't realize if they legalize it, they're going to shut him down. They're going to shut down everybody, because you can't. It's one thing to just do it and we don't care. It's another thing if we're doing it too and you're competing with us, we're shutting you down. So there was always that sensitivity to the possibility that gambling would become illegal, and he'd have to shut down because they wouldn't let it keep going at that point.
Yeah, growing up around the bookmaking and that kind of stuff, Mike, did you yourself, are you still interested in it? I mean, just for observations, I mean, do you still follow, betting lines and things like that today?
Well, I do it for my business, but I've got no interest at all in betting, and I still hear my dad say you can't win.
Smart man.
Over the long haul, you are going to lose.
Right.
Over the long haul, they've said it just right. They know exactly what they're doing, and there's people out there who've convinced themselves that they're going to win more often than not. And there are some that are lucky enough that they do.
Yes.
But your luck's eventually going to run out, and look, to the extent that there are ways formulas, inside information, whatever to give you an edge. It's beyond my cognitive ability or my level of interest. I enjoy it without that stuff. I can watch, Chris Sims and I will pick every regular season and postseason game straight up and against the spread, and there's always a handful of games we disagree on, and that becomes the source of my little endorphin rush.
Gotcha.
Trying to beat him. Because,
right.
and I think and this comes from my mother, too. I'm very cheap. I didn't used to be that way, but her influence on me has made me very, very careful with money, and whatever enjoyment I would get out of winning $50 is far outweighed by the agony of losing 10. So that's part of it, too. The winning doesn't feel nearly as good as the losing would feel bad. So
That's so interesting. That's a great point.
That's awesome. Well, your dad was a very wise man with giving you those words of wisdom. We're talking with Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk and NBC. Mike, let's shift a little bit towards the modern day NFL and what you're doing now for a living. I guess we've had a lot of people in our group texting us, telling us to ask you questions about certain things, but I guess kind of just start with the main news right now, some of the bigger stories, and just give us a little insight maybe that some people haven't heard around here. Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, what becomes of them, and do you see anything being resolved before the draft here in 2 weeks?
I was just watching the Odell Beckham Jr. introductory press conference before we got started, and they made it clear, as I expected, that they want Lamar Jackson to be there, that they're still working on it. I think they believe at some level the presence of Odell Beckham Jr. will make it more likely that Lamar Jackson will strike a deal that is acceptable to everyone. At one point, Beckham almost said, and I think he stopped himself, that maybe he'll talk to the guys in Baltimore and try to help work it out. It wouldn't surprise me if he becomes kind of a liaison between Lamar Jackson, who doesn't have an agent, and the Ravens in an effort to get this thing done. But with Beckham there, that's going to be a huge magnet to draw Jackson in and try to get this thing done so they can have an even more competitive team this year, assuming that Beckham is healthy and good to go. With Rodgers, I think that if we're setting an over-under, I'd pick 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday, the 28th of April. That's when the second day of the draft begins. There's a chance that they finally work out a deal to send him from Green Bay to New York just before the second round starts, or while the pick is on the clock that the Packers would be getting, because what they get is a second-round pick from the Jets this year. Next year, presumably a formula based on how the Jets do that could push it as high as a first-round pick to the Packers, and then 2025, some protection for the Jets, a draft pick that would go from Green Bay to New York if Aaron Rodgers only plays 1 year. Those are the aspects of the formula. The one thing I think they agree on is second-round pick this year. They got to figure out the other stuff, and there's no reason to come to an agreement until the clock is striking 12, because if one side goes to its bottom line position before the clock is striking 12, the other side is just going to wait and squeeze the team off of that position when the clock is striking 12. So that's the best time for it to get done, and I think it'll happen on the 28th, and there's a chance it'll happen while the Jets are on the clock with one of their 2 back-to-back second-round picks.
Makes sense.
Mike, I know you were saying that they had to kind of wait to do the deal. Are you tired of hearing about Aaron Rodgers, though? Because I know I am. I feel like every morning I watch ESPN, it's always Aaron Rodgers. Are you getting a little tired of it?
Personally, I have reached my lifetime limit of Aaron Rodgers. One thing you realize, at least for me, when I got into my 50s, I've reached my lifetime limit of certain things. I don't need to go see fireworks shows anymore. I've seen enough fireworks shows for my life. I know what they look like. I know what they sound like. I have the memory of them. I don't need to see them again. So I don't need to hear any more about Aaron Rodgers. I don't necessarily want to talk about Aaron Rodgers anymore. But I do have access, real time, any time of the day, any day of the week, to the traffic at our website. And I can see which stories people read, and I can see which stories they don't read. And they read Aaron Rodgers' stories. So despite the fact that I just as soon be done with it, I also have a business to run, and Aaron Rodgers continues to sell. And it's a story we just have to cover until it's finally concluded. And it makes for a fascinating 2023. If you look at who the Jets are due to play, they have a bunch of great games this year. They've got 6 games in the division that'll be compelling, 2 against the Bills, 2 against the Dolphins, 2 against the Patriots. They play the Chiefs, they play the Eagles, they play the Cowboys, they play the Giants. It is going to be a tug-of-war among all the networks to try to get as many Jets games as possible once this deal gets done.
Yeah, Mike, staying with the QBs, I want to hear your thoughts on Where's Carolina right now? Is it Bryce Young? Is it C.J. Stroud? You've seen a lot of things that even in the betting markets, it's affected. Things have seesawed back and forth with that. And then as well as Houston and Indianapolis, some of the other teams needing quarterbacks that are picking pretty high. What are your thoughts on those teams?
Well, Bryce Young had been the betting favorite to be the number 1 overall pick before the Panthers traded with the Bears up to number 1. And the moment that happened, it flipped to C.J. Stroud. The inside information at the time was that Frank Reich, the new coach of the Panthers, would want C.J. Stroud, who's 6'3", and that Reich would not want a 5'10" and 1/8-inch quarterback in Bryce Young. In time, it's gone the other way, and there have been multiple reports over the past 10 to 15 days that the Panthers are looking at Bryce Young at number 1. It caused him to go back to being the favorite in the betting market, and I think, and this is a point that Chris Sims made earlier this week when we were talking about it on PFT Live. This is about the Panthers getting their fans and getting their media accustomed to where this is going. You don't want to shock them if they think it's C.J. Stroud and then out of nowhere, oh, it's Bryce Young. So I think it is going to be Bryce Young. What the Texans do at number 2 is fascinating. Do they go C.J. Stroud? Do they go a different direction altogether? And when you consider their new head coach, DeMeco Ryans, was in San Francisco the last 2 years, where 2 years ago they give up ultimately 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to get Trey Lance. And what's he done? Last year, with the very last pick in the draft, they get Brock Purdy. And what did he do? I don't know that DeMeco Ryans is going to be a fan of just saying, all right, we got the number 2 pick. Let's go with the best quarterback on the board. They may go in a different direction. And I think the Colts would very much like to get themselves a rookie quarterback. They had Peyton Manning in 98. Then they had Andrew Luck in 2012. And since Luck surprisingly retired, it's been one veteran after another who they end up getting really 1 year too late. And I think they're done with that. They're fatigued by that, and they want to get that young guy that they can bring in there. And somebody, I think, is quite possibly going to trade up to number 3 with the Cardinals to try to get in front of the Colts. And it may just be that the Colts flip-flop with the Cardinals to prevent someone else from cutting the line in front of them so they can get the quarterback they want at number 3. And Anthony Richardson's a guy who's got superstar potential. Now, he could also be a bust, but he could be the best of the bunch if everything plays out well for him. So that's a guy I'm very interested in seeing where he ends up.
All right, so shifting gears a little bit, not talking about draft picks, but some of these free agent guys and some people that are actually, I guess, more so on the trade block than free agents. Where do you see DeAndre Hopkins ending up?
Well, there's been some noise about the Patriots. And, look, there's plenty of places where he could come in and contribute. The problem is this. He's older. He's got a recent injury history. He had a 6-game suspension last year for violating the PED policy. Now, he claims he didn't deliberately take any performance-enhancing drugs, but pretty much everyone who ever gets in a position where they test positive for PED says that. Because it's a strict liability standard, you can just say, I didn't know. And like I said, pretty much every guy that ever gets popped for PED says, I didn't know. But it's still an issue for someone that's going to trade for him. He wants a new contract, and as I mentioned, he's older. I think at this point, we're going to see these teams that need a receiver play it out through the draft. And if they get a guy that they feel good about, if they get a guy that works out well for them during the draft, then they shy away from Hopkins. If they don't, then maybe they swing back around to try to work something out with DeAndre Hopkins. But, last year the receiver market really exploded. You had guys making up near $30 million a year. There isn't anyone this year that is as good as the guys who got that big money last year. There isn't a Tyreek Hill in his prime. There isn't a Devontae Adams in his prime. DeAndre Hopkins, at best, is on the back end of his prime. He's not going to get the money he's looking for. And, with that said, I expect at some point, either during or after the draft, something's going to happen.
Hey, Mike, I want to swing back to the draft real quick here. Do you see any a wild card player that if a betting person would make a good return on, like in the top 5 or 10 picks of the draft that possibly is under the radar, that nobody's not many teams are talking about or might not be real high on?
Well, quarterbacks often get overdrafted because teams realize if we need one and we hope that guy's going to become a franchise player, there's only one place to get him. Now, last year there was one quarterback taken in round 1 and Kenny Pickett at number 20. It wasn't until round 3 that others started coming off the board, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, et cetera. And Malik Willis was the favorite to be the first quarterback drafted, and he was the 3rd drafted well into round 3. So sometimes the betting markets don't know what's going on. One guy that I'm intrigued by is BYU's Jaron Hall. He said recently that he's talked to nearly every team. And someone that I know and trust believes that he's going to be the fourth or fifth quarterback off the board, which no one expects. A lot of people expect him to be a mid to late round guy. So, again, I don't know how the market's going to shift and adjust once it gets going because I don't get that involved in it since I don't bet. But Jaron Hall is a guy that wherever there's a prop out there for quarterbacks after the first few go, there's a chance he's going to be somebody who goes faster and more quickly than the betting markets might project. Hendon Hooker as well. He tore his ACL last year at Tennessee, and he's kind of been forgotten. And there's a lot of teams that really like him. And, as you get close to the draft, a lot of these teams just pride themselves on keeping their mouths shut, and the media doesn't really know. Like with Patrick Mahomes in 2017, nobody knew that the Chiefs loved Patrick Mahomes. Nobody knew that the Saints loved Patrick Mahomes. And if the Chiefs hadn't traded up to number 10 that year, the Saints would have taken him at number 11.
Wow.
And nobody knew. So, some years you've got quarterbacks that there are specific coaches or GMs or owners that they love the guy, and they do a great job of making sure nobody knows about it, and we all find out on draft day who goes when and where.
Great stuff.
Yeah, Mike, I got to ask because we are in the Ohio Valley, and we got a lot of Steeler fans here probably listening. What do you think the Steelers should do, or what do you think they are going to do in the draft this year coming up?
Well, I was on 93.7 The Fan yesterday. I'm on there every Wednesday afternoon, and they said there was a report out of Chicago of the Steelers talking to the Bears about moving up to number 9. And I don't know how real that is, but I do know if there's a guy the Steelers really like, they're not bashful about trading up to get him. And they didn't have to trade up last year to get Kenny Pickett. He just kind of fell right into them. But they've traded up for guys like Troy Polamalu, Santonio Holmes, other guys in the past where they really like the guy and they go get him. There's a lot of speculation that maybe Jalen Carter's the guy that they'd like to go up and get at number 9. He's the Georgia defensive tackle who's viewed as a generational talent. He's had an off-field issue. He had a bad pro day workout. There are real questions about what kind of NFL player he's going to be, but it may depend upon where he starts his career. And Mike Tomlin may be the only coach out there who can press the buttons and get through to him. That's one of the things I've learned over the years. And I know that there are Steelers fans that when the team struggles at all, they're ready to fire Mike Tomlin. Other coaches who have had to coach players who played for Mike Tomlin are amazed when they find out how difficult the person is, how hard the person is to coach, and somehow Mike Tomlin was able to get through to that person and get the most out of him without everything blown up. And I know Antonio Brown's the example that you think of, but there are others who go elsewhere and they become a problem, they become unproductive, they become a guy that the head coach can't get through to, and the head coach just steps back in amazement saying, I can't believe Mike Tomlin was able to get the most out of this guy all these years. And that would make me think that even with all the red flags, maybe they are intrigued by a guy like Jalen Carter, and they think they have to cut the line in front of the Eagles at number 10 to try to get him.
I keep hearing Joey Porter Jr. Is that still on a radar for the Steelers, you think?
I think if they stay put, I don't think they'd have to trade up to get him. If you get into the top 10 at corner, Devin Witherspoon would be the guy that I think you would target. He's a guy who's a very hard-nosed tackler, very aggressive player, great corner, and throws his body into the fray when it's time to support against the run. So if you're talking top 10, if they're thinking about making a move, him. If they're staying put, then Joey Porter Jr. is a possibility. And Tomlin and Joey Porter were always really tight, too, so that would help. Look, we don't have enough time for me to get into this, but I hate the draft. I hate the draft. Here's an example why I hate the draft. If Joey Porter wanted to play for the Steelers, he should be able to play for the Steelers, and the Steelers should be able to sign him. It shouldn't have to be this ritual of waiting and someone else has dibs. And, if the kid wants to play there and the team wants him, and there's a way to do it so one team wouldn't stack all the players, you can allocate salary cap space accordingly. But these kids all get to pick the college they go to. Right. And I know if it were my son, like if I lived in Pittsburgh and my son was a star college player and the local team that I was a fan of my whole life had a specific needed position he plays, we shouldn't have to play this game of whether or not Seattle or Denver or some city he's never been to and never wants to live in drafts him, and then he's got to go play there. Anyway,
that's a great point. That's a really good point, Mike, especially now with the transfer portal in college sports. But I had that realization. About 12 or 13 years ago, and usually when I say that, I get shouted down. I'm surprised you guys reacted the way you did.
I love it.
People love the draft. They love the draft, and they hate any talk that is anti-draft.
All right, so before we let you run here, Mike, tell us a little bit about a couple of these free agents like Zeke Elliott, Carson Wentz, these types of guys who are looking for teams right now. Jadeveon Clowney, maybe Kareem Hunt. Where do these guys end up? Have you heard anything on any of those guys?
Well, the fact that these guys are available a month into the free agent process tells you everything you need to know.
Right.
They either wanted more than they are worth, or teams just they're in no hurry. You know, it's a young man's sport, and for most of these guys, it's a very short window of opportunity. That's why I'm a big believer in a player getting paid what he can while he can. Ezekiel Elliott held out 4 years ago, got a big contract with the Cowboys. It was a contract so good that they would have cut him a year ago. But the way that the contract was set up, his salary for last year became guaranteed the year before. They couldn't get out from under. They had paid him $12 million last year, way too much for the running back position and for what his skill level was at the time. So I think for a lot of these guys now, it's wait and see what happens with the draft, because they changed the way that rookies get paid back in 2011, where it's a lot cheaper. So you go through the draft process, you get young, cheap, healthy talent. And then after you've made your picks, you look at your roster and you ask yourself, do we make a run at Ezekiel Elliott? Do we make a run at Kareem Hunt? Do we try to sign Carson Wentz? Does Jadeveon Clowney fit here? Right. And I think for all these guys at this point, 2 weeks away from the draft, they're just going to have to wait and see how the draft shakes out, and that may create an opportunity for someone, because the team that has a need at the position the guy plays didn't get the guy that they wanted during the draft process.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, before we let you go,
important question.
Really important question from one of our members here. He's a diehard Steeler fan. He wanted us to ask you, what percentage of my paycheck should I put on the Steelers to make the playoffs?
Oh, wow. None of it, because you're never going to win. Over the long haul, you will lose. Keep your money. I never count the Steelers out. I always believe that Mike Tomlin's going to find a way. They almost did it last year. For as bad as they started, to not finish below 500, he still kept his streak alive. They haven't had a sub-500 season since before Tomlin arrived. So I think they're going to be better than we realize. And we can look at the positions and say, boy, they got needs here, they got needs here, they got weaknesses here, they got weaknesses there. But he knows how to get those guys ready to show up and play. And he's done more with less than I think any coach of the past 20 years. Not that they have a talent deficit, but the teams that he's had aren't as good as the other teams. You know, like they've consistently been contenders, but there are always other teams that are dramatically better. But they find a way to keep on an even footing with most teams they play. So I would not rule them out with 7 teams making it in the AFC. And I know the AFC is a tough conference, but still, I would not rule them out of finding a way to win just enough games to get in.
All right.
I wouldn't bet on it, though, just because I wouldn't bet on anything.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you personally. I'm not a sports guy, but I'm the producer here, and I want to thank you for coming on and spending time with us. We appreciate you, you helping us little guys out here and coming on and talking with us. It means a lot to all of us, and we genuinely appreciate you coming on. I just have a question. Do you have any advice, just so we end on a high note here, do you have any advice for any either aspiring authors or just creatives or people that are in your position? Do you have any advice for young people coming up through the ranks that might want to aspire to be like you?
I mean, just be true to who you are and put in the work. And sometimes it's hard. It takes discipline. You'd rather be playing video games. You'd rather be hanging out with your friends. There's a lot of things you'd rather be doing, but you got to be willing to sacrifice your personal time. And I think if you want to be highly successful in any field, whatever your chosen field is, whatever it is that you find you have an aptitude at and you enjoy doing, you're never going to be as good as you can be or as successful as you can be unless you throw yourself into it completely. And it does require sacrifice, but there's always a payoff if you get lucky and if things work out the right way.
Well, Mike, that's great, great information. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for staying in touch with me and coming on the show. I honestly could sit here and talk football, and especially back in the Wheeling days. That totally intrigues me, and good luck with the book. And the next time the Payne brothers and all that crew come down, I might jump in the car with them and come down and chat with you and drink a couple of those beers so Terry doesn't get overdone.
Captain Morgan. He needs a Captain Morgan tattoo because I think Captain Morgan owns a slight piece of his soul from the last trip down.
Awesome stuff. All right, Mike, well, thank you again for joining us here on the PRP on the Watchdog. Best of luck to you throughout the NFL season, and hopefully we'll stay in touch and talk down the road. And best of luck with the book, Father of Mine. We'll be pumping it up and making sure people know where they can buy it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
All right, that's Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports.
Wow,
Peacock.
that was great.
That was really, really cool. Just, Job, great questions by you. I like to change it up like that. It was really cool.
How long could you listen to him talk about it?
I just texted my buddies and said I could listen. He's so knowledgeable. I could listen to him
You got
all
to tell
day.
people how to go listen
Yeah,
to that.
I was actually thinking we'll probably maybe edit this up, Job, and then put it out as its own exclusive.
That would be really cool because you can obviously listen to the archives on the Watchdog site, and then I think our stuff records on the YouTube.
Yeah, it records right on YouTube, but I think maybe we'll put it as its own video.
And be sure and check out Mike's stuff. If you're not familiar with Pro Football Talk, it's kind of cool. We use PRP for our initials, and he uses PFT on his logo for his shows and all his content on Pro Football Talk. So be sure, and that's a wing of NBC Sports. So, I mean, it's a major, major outfit. You see him on Sunday Night Football all the time. They get breaking news with him all the time. Him and Chris Sims do, I don't know if they do it daily. It's almost, if it's not daily, it's at least 4 days a week. They do a show and they just break down everything NFL. So really, really cool guy. I've always liked listening to him. Always thought he kind of just sounded like a regular dude, and we appreciate his time and taking time for us.
He definitely proved that he is, because he's just easy
super
to talk
smart,
to.
like just easy, laid back, and he's just an easy interview for us. We just ask him and let him go. And thanks to the Payne brothers for setting that up. We may have to get Mike to the Pine Room one time. Maybe on a Saturday when he's before NFL gets cranking. But
boy, I'm gonna tell you what, we have lucked out on our guests. I mean, we have not had. We've maybe had maybe one stinker, but other than that, we've had.
He won't be named.
Yeah, but this just really awesome, super cool.
Yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed it out there. If you had any thoughts, probably gonna run out of time, but 304-214-1600. Call us on Monday. Let us know what you thought of Mike. We'll be talking about it probably Monday, Tuesday, especially leading up to the draft, because it's actually 2 weeks from tonight when that starts. I know there's a lot of draft enthusiasts. I'm with him, though.
That was interesting. I like
other
that
than the
take.
betting intrigue, I have no interest in it.
And it's so commercialized now. It takes
long
forever.
and it used to just be on Saturday as these guys are celebrating the
Rays
looking to go
to Sox out.
Clear the bases.
And it just put the game over, too, I think.
And going for
8.5.
What's this, for 13?
13.
Yeah, be 13-0. So, baseball. But NFL's in everybody's viewpoint right now as it's starting to get close. And Soup, for his bet, plus 135 on the Steelers to make the playoffs. So Mike thought, bad wager, but it makes sense to do it, is kind of how he put
Great
it.
show, guys.
But, thanks to everybody. Thanks to our Watchdog friends, everybody that listened out there. We'll be back here Monday to talk about all the things that are going on in the world. This is the Pine Room Podcast on the Watchdog. We appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed Mike Florio. And check us out on social media where you can hear the archived segment with Mike at the Pine Room Podcast. Have a great day, Wheeling. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
She said, green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600, WKKX Wheeling.
ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. An arrest in Massachusetts. The FBI making a probable cause arrest this afternoon in connection with